Welcome to another fun-filled episode of the Power Hour. I am Steve, along with the urban sensation C Red, the icon. How you doing, Red? Don't let me interrupt you. Cactus Rack will be joining us shortly, as she always does, to talk roller derby a bit later on. And Rion Skills will be here every now and again, doing Rion Skills type things. But tonight, it's the Legacy Edition. Anytime we bring on somebody that even has the slightest affiliation, let alone massive affiliation like this man with Windy City Pro Wrestling, well, I have very little to do. It goes to see Red as I defer to the man that has been there before. But our guest tonight, we're glad to have him, Mr. Trevor Blanchard. How the hell are you, Trevor?
Good. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for the invite. I've heard a lot of good things about this show, and I reached out to you and said, hey, man, I'd like to be a guest. I got a lot of stuff to say and a lot of history and everything else. And so I just want to thank you to start off for allowing me for this platform.
Yeah, anytime somebody reaches out and says, hey, I'd like to do this, those are my favorite shows, because I'd love to have anybody that wants to talk wrestling, let alone somebody of your stature. And it just makes the night better, because when C-Red is surrounded by the Windy City element, he reverts to his former self. And that is good storytelling right there. So let's dive right into it. WCPW.
Wrong.
Nah, yeah.
Wrong.
You got it, brother.
Red, take it away. I'm just going to sit here and drink. Red, it's all yours.
I broke in April of 1990 is when I broke in. About 3 years later, Sam DeCero sold the rights of WCW to World Championship Wrestling. And maybe it was a little later, and see, maybe you can help me out with this as far as when it changed to Windy City Pro Wrestling, because Sam couldn't use that anymore. He obviously got money for the trademark. What year was that? Was that 97, 90, 96?
I want to say late 96, early 97.
Okay. So, yeah, Steve, so Windy City Wrestling was, at the time, I wasn't aware that there was other promotions out there in Chicago. Didn't know there was promotions up in Wisconsin. Didn't know there was promotions.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Steve. And see, I'm not sure if you were aware of this. When I broke in, my very first match was 3 months later. It was at the Brementown Mall, which I don't think is there anymore, in Tinley Park. I wrestled Gigolo Johnny Mercedes. Zebra Kid was his manager. We were in separate dressing rooms. Never met the guy. Never said hi. Never introduced myself until we were in the ring. And at that point, we didn't even say hi. It was like he was doing his shtick, and I was like kind of a nervous wreck, because the only thing I knew what was happening was how I was being pinned. That's all I knew. And I actually said this at Gigolo's service when he had passed. He could have beat the shit out of me. Can you guys swear? Can we swear on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
He could have beat the shit out of me, but he was humble, he was gracious, and very giving to me. In my very first match, I chopped him, hip tossed, arm drag, drop kick. He didn't have to do that. He could have just beat the hell out of me, use me as a piece of meat to put himself over, and he didn't. The only thing he knew was that I knew the basics. I had the basics down in 3 months. And that was a tribute to, I wanted to be a part of this business so bad. And back then Sam's school was up by the Harlem and Irving Plaza, a little west of that. And it was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So for 3 months, I went to practice religiously. I don't think I missed a day because I wanted it so bad. Larry Turbo, one of the twin turbos, was supposed to wrestle Gigolo. He didn't show. Mike Grashner told me what time to be there. He was like, "Do you have your gear?" I said, "Yes." I said, it's in the car. He's like, "Go get it." And I went and got it, and he walked me to the dressing room. Now, we were in separate dressing rooms, which, I did, being very new into the business, I wasn't aware that at times we would be in the same dressing room, because you have that mystique from going to shows that you think they're on separate parts of the building, like the amphitheater when I first went, or the Rosemont Horizon, or the UIC Pavilion. You don't know because, and especially at the Pavilion, they came out in separate hallways at the Pavilion. So I didn't know. And, I remember Frank the Tank was in the locker room with me, and he knew it was my first time out there, and he said, "Put your hand out." And it was shaking a little bit. He was like, "Don't worry, kid, you'll be all right." And I'm like, "Okay." And all I had to do was listen to what Gigolo said, and he put me over like $1 million. He made me a star because Sam at intermission had me go out to a table and sign autographs, which was the first time I had, obviously done that. And there was a line like probably 30 or 40 deep. That was obviously before cell phones where you can take selfies and stuff, but people had cameras and stuff and stood and took pictures. If I was smart enough, I would have charged, but again, I was just like,
We're young.
I was just happy to be there. I was just,
And Sam would have took his cut.
What was that?
And Sam would have took his cut.
Probably. Yeah. Or at least paid my dues with it.
There you go.
$40. Sorry about that.
That's
Hit the
okay.
wrong. So 1990, Windy City, and then everything changed late in 1996. I was already gone by then. Sonny Rogers, who was one of my trainers, had left. He was doing some shows in Indiana. I started working out in Indiana. Started doing some shows up in Wisconsin with the Texas Hangman Mike, and Hangman George, before Tom, Tough Tom, and the Hangman eventually became Tough Tom, and Mean Mike in WCW, Disorderly Conduct, and they weren't aware that they were actually the Texas Hangman, and they wound up wrestling both gimmicks on WCW shows on the road. They would do, like the second match, and they'd come back like for the sixth match under the hoods. So it was they didn't get any extra pay, but
it's funny how you do multiple things and you don't get that extra paycheck.
Right. So
Story of my life.
So to even go back a little farther, from when I broke in, my dad had taken me to the amphitheater in like late 81, early 82. And it was my first show that I remember going to. And the main event was Dick the Bruiser versus King Kong Bruiser Brody in a Texas death match. Yeah.
That's that's pretty impressive.
I don't remember that.
That's good.
So they sold for like $1.50 or whatever, these programs that had all the pictures of the guys on them on both sides, but they had it folded and they had an insert with the lineup. I actually still have that, where I circled whoever won or lost or however it went. I don't remember the car. All I remember is Bruiser and Dick the Bruiser and Brody. So it was something. So back then they didn't have guardrails. There was no music. But it was something about when the guys came out of where the dressing room area was, and the Andy Frayne security walked them to the ring, through the crowd, through the sea of seats at ringside.
Andy Frayne security was everywhere back in the 80s.
Yes.
Every ballpark in the state of Illinois.
Every event.
They were everywhere.
They're still around. I saw some. When did I saw some in Chicago somewhere? I forget where. Maybe downtown or something. They were doing something. I saw Andy Frayne. I'm like, whoa, they're still around. So it was something about that. everybody keen on, looking and watching them. And I'm like, man, that's freaking cool. That's really freaking cool. So it was already by 8th grade, freshman year of high school, I was telling people that I would either be a pro baseball player or I'd be a pro wrestler. That's where my mind was at age 13, 14, that I was
So
going
you a
to.
big
'cause
baseball fan? If you were going to
Yes.
pursue it as a career, do you love it still?
Yes, I'm a huge baseball. I love playoff baseball.
Who's your team? What's your team?
The Cubs, obviously.
Trevor,
Boo.
Trevor. That is such a punk ass response.
Oh my! Well, I grew up on the north side.
Well, we're
so,
South. I'm a South Sider.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm
I'll tell you what,
Southside.
listen.
We're all Southsiders.
true
Well,
story.
I'm
True,
Southsider now, but
true
and
story.
I still wear my Cub stuff around. I don't give a shit.
Back in 77, 78, I was a big Cub fan. Dave Kingman was my favorite player. And then they traded Dave. And I said, fuck you, Cubs. And I became a White Sox fan.
I was a Cubs fan
Dare
because
you
I
trade
knew
Kingman?
Little
I
8-year-old
knew no better.
said, "Fuck you, Cubs."
I knew no better because that's all my father watched. So my dad believed every year they were going to the World Series.
Who, the Cubs?
Yes, he was one of those Cub fans that he did not care.
Papa Red was a Cub fan?
Hardcore.
Okay,
So
here's
so
the
was
question
my
for you
grandma.
guys.
My
Here's the-
grandma, even when she wasn't lucid anymore, she still wanted the Cubs on.
I find that most Cub fans aren't lucid. No offense. No offense.
Steve.
It's my
Oh,
fault.
my God.
It's all me.
Yeah. Here's a question for you guys. I'll start with Steve. Were you happy that the Cubs finally won the World Series in your lifetime?
That was a magic season. And I was so happy for all my friends that were Cub fans because in 2005, the White Sox won the most unexpected World Series of all time. So
True.
I was playing with house money, but guys like Bryant and Rizzo, you don't hate guys like that just because they're on the Cubs. You love them because they're good people and great athletes. So
Right.
I thought the Cubs were fine. I actually, enjoyed the Cubs during the Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood era. I followed the Sosa Cubs. I'm not a hater by any means, but obviously the White Sox are the team that have broken my heart more times than I can count. I think I have recovered from 1983.
If you think about it, the White Sox are like what the Cubs were in the 70s and 80s, maybe.
Yeah.
It would be so. I don't hate the Sox. I follow the Cubs more than I do the Sox. But if the Sox are doing well, I'm hitting the radio and I'm putting their game on if the Cubs are done, or I'm going back and forth. So.
And I enjoyed what the Cubs did in the offseason. They're entertaining to watch. When the Sox do a commercial, I'll flip the Cubs on. I'm not a hater, but I'm still trying to get over 1983. I don't think I'll ever get over it. Winning ugly, that's the greatest team in my life.
1984 for the
So
Cubs.
I didn't come along for another 4 years, so please enlighten me as to what happened in 1983.
Okay, so 1983 is the greatest baseball team that Chicago has ever seen. Now, I know that the Cubs won the World Series, so did the Sox. That team was magic. Lazinski, Kittle, Fisk, Baines, Walker, Pachorik. The pitching.
How many games up were they? 20, 30 games
They
up?
won their division, and this was back when there was the Western and the Eastern divisions.
Right.
There were only two. There were less teams back then, and when you won that division, you had to work your ass off. But they won that. They in like September 3rd, they clinched it against Seattle when Julio Cruz scored on a sac fly. So the White Sox, they were the team to beat. And boy, fucking Tito Landrum. To this day, I put a curse on his family for that fucking grand slam off of Britt Burns. Here's a guy.
Here's
It's an irrational hate.
Here's an intertwining thing with wrestling and baseball. Okay. AWA had a show at the amphitheater that night. The night that they won the division on a Saturday night.
God, that was a great.
We found out.
13-year-old Steve was electric.
I think my dad or somebody sitting next to us had a transistor radio.
Oh, those
and right. Found out they won. We were sitting ringside. I ran up to the ring announcer and told him the Sox just won the division. And after the next match, or after he announced the winners and stuff, he announced that the White Sox had won the division.
So you were a reporter. You broke breaking.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, I guess at least for the people that were in the attendance.
Here's how big the
for
White Sox
show.
were back in '83. My school, my junior high school, they stopped classes at 1:00 on the first day of the division series against the Orioles.
Wow.
So for the last 2 hours, we sat around a little black and white TV and we watched the game as part of our curriculum. And that was the only game the Sox won.
And what did you learn?
What did I learn? I learned that the White Sox were good in the playoffs for one game and the rest was downhill. And I have never weeped for a sports team like I weeped in '83. I cried ugly, gorilla, monkey. It was an awful. I was unconsolable when they lost. It was still damaged to this day because of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when the Cubs won in 16, the only thing that I wish was that my grandfather and my dad were still around.
A lot of people say that.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
They were
my
both
grandma
huge.
died 2 years before.
My grandparents would go to Arizona in like middle January. Okay. He'd give me, I don't know how much money. I would have to take the bus, the Irving Park bus to Clark down to Addison, the day that opening day tickets went on sale. And I would buy 4. And what that did was that my grandparents went, usually my mom, and that guaranteed me a day off from school. So I gladly went.
It really matters.
Right. So with them winning it and them not being here and being such, huge Cubs fans like myself, I was able to celebrate that with both of my boys at the bar out in the suburbs and stuff. And
God,
that
that
was really
Game 7 was like a Marvel movie.
yes, back and forth,
You just can't
Yeah,
write
it was-
that any better
yeah.
than they wrote that.
No. So
Well, cheers to the Cubs for 2016, and here's to favorite. I mean, the White Sox are just a dumpster fire of drizzling shit right now, and it's hard to watch. But
it's hard to watch, but you have to give them. Here's what I do. By the time the All-Star game hits, you have to take a look and see who's in first, second, third, and how close they are.
I'm hoping
because that should determine who's going to make the playoffs. If there's a team within like 5 or 6 games, and they've got the rest of July, all of August, September, a lot can happen. Look at what happened with Houston. They were how many games behind, and they wound up winning the World Series that one year, like 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was. So anything can happen.
I'd love to believe that my team could do that this year, but we simply can't pitch and can't field. And if you can't pitch and you can't field, you can score 10 runs a game, but you're still not going to win very many things.
Yeah. So, hey, C, can you throw a ball? See,
right?
Can I?
Is he sleeping?
No, I'm here.
Okay, can you pitch?
I was never a pitcher.
Not
I was
underhand.
a second baseman. I was a second baseman.
Okay, so was I. I actually I played second and I pitched in high school. And right out of high school, I actually had invites from the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds to go to. They were out in Freeport, Illinois. The Reds actually invited me down to Florida. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I was 18.
What year was that?
87.
Okay, so the Reds
86, 87.
So that was right. They were starting the ascent to that 90 team that just killed everybody.
Right. So I was invited to come down to spring training. I had to fly myself down. And they take care of my room and stuff. And they said, if you get cut, then you go home. If not, then, we'll figure it out down there. January, I'm playing, as maybe you don't know, I worked at Jewel for 20 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm playing tackle football with guys from Jewel, and I had two guys fall on top of me, dislocated my right shoulder, and separated the joint on a Sunday.
Oh,
Tuesday morning, I'm on the operating table. I wind up getting 9 stitches here, 2 here on the right side of the shoulder with a pin in there, and I'm immobilized for 6 weeks and screwed up my baseball career because I couldn't throw a
Same
ball.
thing happened to my brother. My brother was an all-state catcher for his high school, and he had a full ride scholarship ready to go to Stanford. The day after his prom, they just instead of going to Great America, they decided to stay at the girlfriend's house and go in their pool. He dove into the pool head first, smacked the bottom, compressed 2 vertebrae, broke his neck, had to have surgery. Stanford said, "Fuck you, you're not going to get a scholarship." And
Wow.
it changed the trajectory of everything. Now, he still went to college and he had a great career at Illinois Wesleyan, and he played in the minor leagues for about 8 years and played in the pros for about 45 games in spring training or whatever spring training is, but never
Right.
really got to the regular season.
That, you know what? It was an unfortunate thing that happened, and I'm glad he wasn't paralyzed.
Yeah, I mean that's what
Um,
I always try to tell him. But God, you want to talk about a dude with what if issues? It's
Right. Right. Yeah. You know, God bless him for being able to be at spring training. I mean,
he was at Padres spring training when Garth Brooks was at Padres spring training.
wow.
So
Wow.
they didn't like Garth Brooks. You're coming in, you're a singer trying to take
Well,
our fucking spot. Get the fuck out of here. Go
Yeah,
where
he made
you're
it.
playing with your
Yeah,
friends.
he's made his money. He's
Yeah.
made his money.
Yes.
So yeah, so then there went my baseball career. Let's try this wrestling thing. So I think it was like 88 or 89 after I got healed from the shoulder issue. There was a school down in Lovejoy, Georgia. First time I booked a flight, hotel, car rental on my own. First time I'm leaving home by myself. Fly down to Atlanta, check into a hotel. The next day I go to the taping of Saturday night, NWA Saturday Night 605 show, which was awesome. And then the next day I drove down to Lovejoy, Georgia. At the time, I didn't know who he was, but I actually spoke with Jody Hamilton, the assassin. Right. Didn't know who he was. Told me about the school. What sucked was the ring wasn't there. They had it torn down for a show. So when you first get to a wrestling school, you see the ring. What do you want to do? You want to get in there and not like necessarily like take a bump or anything, but you want to get in there and just like see how it is and feel how it is. Well,
Run the ropes a little bit. Just get some more.
Maybe, yeah, just get in there and see what it's like. And I wasn't able to do that, and so I was actually prepared. I think it was 88. I was actually prepared to move to Lovejoy, and start training. That's how bad I wanted it. And then the girl I was dating at the time, late 89, she had a personal trainer who was thinking about getting into it, and he wound up giving her Sam's number. Now it was a 978-7317. Right? Remember that? See? Remember
Did
that?
you just give Sam's number on the? That might still be his fucking number.
That was the office number for Windy City.
It might still be his number. You never know.
No, it wasn't.
That number's been disconnected.
Yeah. But you
Trust
remember,
me, I've called. Just
I bet the primetime Pip knows.
just call just cause.
So yeah. So I called, and I think I talked to Gratchner, and I had been working at Jewel since age 16. I was putting money into my the 401k. So I took a loan out of $2,500. When the check came in, went to the bank, got it cashed or whatever, and went in with a cashier's check. Yep, and started in April of '90, and then I remember training like the first 3-4 weeks, and being in bed and laying in bed and being my whole body hurt. And see, as you know, You get the bruise underneath your armpit on the right
Get
side,
all of this
the
all
hip, the
total.
hip and your knee. So, and taking bumps and learn how to bump and everything. And I'm like, do I really want to? It was the first time that I was like questioning if I really wanted to continue this. Eventually, I got my boots, my running the ropes got better. The pain started going away. I was like, but there was a point within like the first 4 or 5 weeks, I was contemplating quitting. I look back on it now, and I probably would have kicked myself in the ass for not doing it, because I have been blessed in the sense of being able to perform for 33 years and not do anything to my knees. I have never torn an ACL. I've never, ruptured anything. I've never had a surgery on my knee. I hyperextended it in high school. Guy was sliding into second base. I was covering. His front cleat got a hold of my shoelace that was hanging. It wasn't like tucked in. And when he slid and stood up, he snapped my knee back. I was out like 3 weeks. That's the only injury I've had to my left knee. And I've wrestled probably thousands of matches. I wouldn't say, I'd say probably between 1,000 and maybe 2,500. I never kept a record like Jericho or anything like that. A lot of it's up here. There's a lot of matches that I don't remember. And it's not because of a concussion or anything like that. It's just, you remember the memorable ones. You remember the memorable storylines and angles and stuff that you did over the years. There's guys in Indiana that I wrestled after I left Sam that I don't remember. It's just, that time frame is just like gone. I do actually have an Atlas book, a map book.
Of how
Mike Crasher said, get one. And I actually dotted with a pink marker every town I went to in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin.
and you've been everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of places. Yeah, a lot of places.
Now you've been 30 years of a career, especially in this business. That longevity is few and far between. Now, when I was looking into all the places you've been today, I was kind of looking to see where you had been and what you had done. I saw that you had done some work in WCW. Was that the pinnacle? Was it WCW that we all remember at that time? I mean, what was the highest level that you got to as far as you're concerned?
So I was living on the northwest side of Chicago, out by I was actually in Harwood Heights, Lawrence and Harlem area. So I would go to the Kennedy Cumberland Ballet's Health Club. So I'm there on a Monday, and I had done some work with the AWF. Terry Taylor was an announcer with them, along with Mick Karch, and Ken Resnick was there. And lo and behold, I'm on my way to go get Brian, because they had a like a nursery there. He was like 3 or 4, something like that. And went to go get him, and I'd be there about an hour or so, do what I had to do, maybe an hour and a half. And Terry Taylor's there. Hey, Terry. Hey, Trevor. How's it going? Nice to see you. And and I said, they were doing Nitro that night. And I said, hey, I says, you guys, all set for tonight? He's like, yeah, I think so. And then up walks Kevin Sullivan. Terry introduces me to Sully. Sully said, you're a worker? I'm like, yes, sir. And he was like, Terry, get his number. He's like, we'll call you tomorrow, Tuesday, if we need you for Wednesday up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm like, okay, great. So I get home from work, have an answering machine at home, no cell phones. No,
That sounds right.
Home.
That tracks.
Yeah. Called home, asked my wife at the time. I said, did Terry or anybody call? No, nothing. So I went to bed, and I had plans to do something with Brian because I was off on Wednesday. And I always tried to make, make that day him and me while she was at work. 2 a.m, our phone rings. Well, Trevor, it's Terry. Can you make Green Bay tomorrow? I'm like, sure. What time? Be there by 3. All right. I did not sleep much the rest of the night because I was all jacked about going up there. So we're at the Royce Center, drive up. We're at the Royce Center. And I think that was the day that DDP bought that long mink coat from Dusty, because he was walking around with it in the back of the arena like a peacock, man. It was freaking hilarious. He's walking around and he's got his cigar going and stuff. And so I get in the locker room and Booker T and Rick Steiner are on the cement ground, Greco-Roman wrestling. I was like,
Oh my
whoa.
God.
Saw Rick Rude there. You know the body that Rick Rude had, right?
Yeah.
He's outside the arena smoking a cigarette. I was like, what the hell?
Body is a temple.
Yeah, body down and he's smoking a cigarette. Stuff I saw was incredible. So my actual first match with them was Disco Inferno.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He was pretty big back in the day, at that time.
Disco Inferno. They needed an extra match. They put me in it with Mike Enos. Now, you guys remember Mark Curtis, referee, short guy. He tackled somebody there trying to get into the ring on a live Nitro, I think it was, or a pay-per-view. Anyways, Brian Hildebrand was his real name. But after I got into the arena and I had catering, I am walking back to the locker room. He stops me. Trevor Blanchard, nice to meet you. Now, he worked with Cornette and Smoky Mountain and everything before he started working with WCW. And he's like, nice to meet you. I've seen you in the magazines. You're with Windy City, right? Or you started with me? I'm like, whoa, this guy is a referee with a national company.
And he knows
on
who you
TV,
are.
and he knows who I am. Right. So at that point, him and I hit it off, and we talked old time because he was born in Tennessee, so he was he grew up on the whole Lawler stuff, and even before Lawler. So he had my match with Mike Enos. So the finish was Mike was going to pin me with a power slam off the ropes. Okay. Well, how I would take that is I would just jump up like if I was going to be taking a vertical. So I jumped up, boom, hooks me, pins me. He's like, that was a nice push-off, kid. He got up and he said, thanks. Mark raises his arm. He comes back over to me and he grabs me by the hair and he's like, take another one. I'm like, okay. Shoots me off. Boom. He gives me 3 more. Okay. He tells Brian, reverse the decision, raise this kid's hand. It was raised in front of the crowd. It wasn't raised for TV because they were able to edit that out. But he knew that Sonny had trained me and he had worked, Sonny had done TV with the AWA with the Destruction Crew. That was my connection through him was through Sonny. So he put me over in front of the crowd up in Green Bay, which was cool. And I made $150. That's the most money at that point I had made in the business. At the end of WCW, when I was working with them, I was pulling home $500 a crack. So if I did,
that's a pretty nice chunk of change.
So if I did Sunday pay-per-view in Milwaukee, Monday Nitro in Chicago, Tuesday Thunder in Indianapolis, and then Peoria, Illinois, the WCW Saturday night taping, I got a check 2 weeks later for $2,000. And that was money that me and my wife at the time spent on the boys going up to the Dells. We were always going up to the Dells so that they could do the water parks and stuff. Obviously, besides paying other bills and stuff. But a funny story. So I'm doing a taping at the Seagate Center in Toledo, Ohio. I remember towns and buildings. And I'm working Fit Finlay. Okay. And this was when he had the dark hair, not the blonde hair, with hornswoggle. So I get to the building, I see Terry, and there's like the sheets over there or whatever. I don't know if it's a sheet or if it was a dry erase board. And I'm working Finley. So I'm like, okay. So I sit down, I start changing, and Dean Malenko comes up to me. Hey, kid, so you're working fit, huh? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, you bring somebody with you, or did you drive by yourself? I'm like, no, I drove by myself. Oh, you should have brought somebody. And he walks away. Shit. Right? So do the match. And Finley was, he was snug, to say the least. Okay. He was
snug, huh?
I gave it right back to him. Whoa. And he said, what the hell? He said something, keep it up, kid. Keep it up. Don't be light on me. Something along that lines. And so at one point he snap mirrors me and he kicks me in the back. Okay. Well, he kicked me in a part of my back that made my legs go numb. So I reach up to I go up like this. I'm like, Mickey J was our ref. Mickey, I can't feel my fucking legs. So he goes and tells Fit. Fit walks around the ring. It seemed like an eternity. It was like hitting your elbow, hit the funny bone.
Oh, yeah.
But on both legs. So it kind of freaked me out. That was like kind of the first injury that I had, ever had, but it wasn't an injury. So finally it comes back. Mickey checks on me and I'm like, yeah, I says it's back. Let's go. So finish the match. He pins me. And years later, I'm backstage at the Allstate Arena for Raw or whatever it was. And I was telling Jack Doan, referee for WCW or WWE, this story, and Fit's walking by, and he's an agent at this time. He's not wrestling anymore, and he was like, "Hey, Fit, this kid told me about the time you kicked him in the back and his legs went numb." He's like, "Yeah, my goddamn toe just grew back about a week ago." So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
30 years in this business is a long time. Like I said, to do anything for 30 years is amazing. So you've had your illustrious past, all the things you've done, all the places you've been, but you're still doing it now to a certain extent. What are you doing now? I mean, I know you're out at POW often. What are you still actively wrestling right now?
Yes, I have not, quote unquote, retire. I will never retire until I can't physically do it anymore.
So we can still see you and C Red in a match at some point if we need to.
I actually want to wrestle Jazz, and he keeps denying me.
Red, you gotta hook that up.
Because I'm good. Because what I would do is I would actually hide a bottle of chocolate milk and just drink it in front of him.
Oh, that damn Swiss Miss.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I still get in there. I did the Royal at Rage. I did that. I just wrestled my son Kazile back in March. How
did that go? I must have missed that one. I would like to have seen that match.
It's on our
on the
POW page.
Okay.
Yeah. From a match aspect, there was certain things that, and him and I talked about it after that, I mean, I'm known for chops, and I didn't throw one damn chop in it. I don't know why.
Nepotism.
I was just going to say the same thing, Steve. I was just going to go down with nepotism.
Who knows? I don't remember why. It was just,
because child abuse is real in the state of Illinois.
It's true.
Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to do was to get the fans emotionally involved, and that's what we were able to accomplish. That we were totally able to accomplish what I wanted to do. And the other cool thing was that my other son Brian Allen was the referee for it. So there's an actual picture of all three of us, and I actually had our photographer Mike Bear print those three up because and gave each one. I signed 2 of them, and then they signed the one for me. Because it's a moment in time that's probably never going to happen again. With all 3 of us, with him reffing and me and Kazile wrestling. And yeah, there's moments in your life, personal, professional, that are always going to stand out. That's one of them for me. I mean, like I said, I wrestled in November at Rage in the Royal. I got booked on my first international show. I wrestled down in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, back in January. A buddy of mine in New York reached out and said, "Hey, you got a passport?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he is like, "Are you free?" I forget the date. Maybe it was the 7th of January or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah." I says, "I think so. Why?" He is like, "You want to team with me down in Santo?" I'm like, "Sure." I've never been out of the country to wrestle. And so that was the first time. That was pretty cool to be able to do that. The crowd was real easy to work. They didn't like the gringos, so to speak.
Do they
So
ever really though? Probably.
but they like it when we spend the money on the food.
Oh, well, that goes without
Yeah.
saying. Listen,
But-
when it comes to your kids, being in business, I've heard different theories about. Some are like, I don't really want my kids in this business because of what this business can be and what it can do as far as breaking your spirit. How has that been for you? Because obviously Brian is a pretty respected ref, and Kazile is one of the most entertaining talents working in the Midwest right now. How is that for you as dad?
Proud.
Well,
First and foremost,
absolutely.
first and foremost, my ex-wife and I did a really good job in, even though we weren't together, we did a really good job as far as keeping them away from the elements of drugs, alcohol. We always kept them, involved in baseball. Kyle wrestled like hardcore Craig's son Luke, on the mat and stuff, Greco-Roman or freestyle, whatever you want to call it. He did it for a year. We always tried to keep them, again, out of the wrong crowd and stuff. And Brian just did an interview the other day, and I listened to it, and he had mentioned that weekends were about wrestling. So there wasn't really any time for them to, if I had them on the weekend and there was a show they were going, or if there was a show that they wanted to go to, then I would pick them up Saturday and take them to the show and keep them overnight. And, so we were, their mom and I were fairly flexible unless she actually had something going on with her family or whatever, and then they wouldn't be able to go. But, they've got, Brian's got a really good head on his shoulders. He's got a good mind on the business. He helps Jimmy out along with Chris Hedford, who is Nick H's son. And Kyle is really amazing me in the last year or so in the stuff that he's done. Just this past Saturday, he wrestled Mason Moran, Mason Perks, in a match. It was a lumberjack match, and the fans were the lumberjacks, and they had leather straps. And it was I was watching, it was kind of funny because what happened was when Kyle got dumped out, it was like rise on shit. There was 12. They all swarmed on him, and they're hitting him with the belt, right? Mason got dumped out. They're up helping him up and stuff, not swinging the belts at all at him. It was freaking hilarious.
Damn,
but it worked. It worked. I know he's worked with Kurt up at ICW in Wisconsin. I forget his wrestling. Dysfunction. At his company, he's worked a couple shows there. He's worked with Frankie DeFalco. He just did War Games back in December and went through a flaming table with Chucky Bates, I believe is his name.
Those are some
So-
crazy dudes. Kazile
Yeah.
versus Chucky Bates.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
good comes
yeah.
from that.
Yeah. So I mean, I personally I did an exploding barbed wire with Koa years ago up in Oshkosh.
Cole's
But
gonna watch this, and he's gonna be happy you mentioned him.
I burnt his hair.
Oh boy.
But I was wearing sweatpants. I had a sweatshirt. And I actually did get burned because I got thrown into it. I did get burned in 2 different spots, and it bubbled up by the time I got back to the hotel. But then, I wound up popping them because I didn't want them to, I don't know, maybe I was stupid. I don't have no scars from it or anything. But here's another interesting thing. I've never been put through a table. Yeah.
How does
Never
that
been put through
happen?
a table. I have no, never.
Oh,
Never been
C-Red wants to put you through a table right now. That's what that would be.
Yeah, his card table with his Swanson dinner that he cooked in the oven.
You probably did cook a Swanson dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, never been. I did so there's a thing within POW that, I've done some dives, which is totally uncharacteristic of me. So at times I'm known as Air Blanchard if I'm diving through the ropes, which is kind of funny. I did it to Jimmy and Chris Cairo. I did a dive off the top rope when we were in Addison at the Addison Park District at a rage, I believe in 2018 or 19, which, a lot of people were, Brian was like, what are you doing that for? And I was actually, when I wrestled Kyle, I was actually going to do a dive, and neither one of them wanted me to do it. I think I would have made it, but, getting up there in age, I guess.
Taking risks all the while.
Yeah. And all the while, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, maybe C is or not, but I've actually had 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7 done. Fusion, neck fusion. So I don't take bio drivers, don't take TDTs, but I'll attempt to dive, right? Smart, right?
Well, maybe you'll go for a
Anything
table
for
at
the
some
best.
point before you hang them up. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. So it's proud. I honestly believe that Brian really needs to be signed. I think he does not think he's as good as he is. But I really think he needs to pursue that a little bit stronger to possibly get signed. I mean, you look at Dan Perch. He's working with GCW, and Brian's been reffing a little bit longer than him. But I believe that Perch has put himself out there a little bit more than Brian, and he's been able to get the opportunities.
Good refs are hard to find.
Right. I do know that Brian travels out to Michigan and works with Rhino and his company out there. Kyle just did the Impact tapings a couple of weeks ago at Cicero Stadium. He did something on Friday night wearing like an orange hoodie or something, and then Saturday night he did nothing. That's one of the things that I really so in the beginning, and I don't think a lot of people know this, in the beginning when AEW started and they came here to Chicago for the All In September. I had reached out to Christopher Daniels, and I'm like, hey man, I said, look, do you guys need extras? I said, I'm not myself. I said, but there's a lot of talent here that, could possibly be used, somewhere down the road. So he got me in touch with Marshall QT Marshall. And so we had talked, and I think Vic Capri was one of them, but he messed up he goofed up on the date. He thought it was Saturday and it was actually Sunday, so he didn't make it. Rough Crossing, Tyler Sullivan, Brian Allen, my son. I think that was it. And then did another one down in Indianapolis for the Wednesday night show, Dynamite. GQ, Matt Dewar, Brian Allen, and myself went down. And then there was a Flash Flanagan. There's another guy too that came from Cincinnati. And then I QT Marshall's position changed, and they had this guy Sean, who's local here in Chicago. He works with them and he wrestles on TV at times. I don't know if it's freelance or if he works with freelance or if he worked at Pro Wrestling T. Sean, I can't remember his last name. So they wound up putting him in position of booking the extra talent. Well, my conversation with QT Marshall was like, I know promoters in St. Louis, I know promoters up in Minneapolis, out in Detroit. I can get you guys here in the Midwest. At the time, Cody Hawk was not doing the micro wrestling that he's doing now, and he's on the road. He had his school and stuff, and so there was guys that I was going to reach out and be like, hey, we need 4 guys for Dynamite in 3 weeks or whatever. That all changed when QT Marshall's position switched. This guy Sean came in, and he started, and from what I understand, he basically uses the same guys from Chicago as opposed to trying to get other guys. Now, fortunately, Rough Crossing and Yabo, I believe, have been signed by the NWA, but those are 2 other guys that I was going to try and get in with AEW under that, because I had actually run into Jerry Lynn at Midway Airport. He was on his way to Buffalo, and he lives outside of Nashville. Flew up to Chicago, and then I ran into him up in the concourse and sat with him for about an hour and talked some wrestling, but we may talk about family and stuff. But yeah, it just seems like they kind of use the same guys here in the Midwest as opposed to like, because that's what I was going to do. I was going to bring certain guys, but then I would bring other guys at the next show. I wouldn't bring the same guys. It just seems to me that the same people are doing these Dynamite and Dark tapings, as opposed to looking for others or reaching out to like maybe Jimmy and being like, hey, can you send me 2 guys? I need to give me your 2 best guys. Or reaching out to SCW. Hey, can you send me 2 guys? Or send me a couple girls or whatever. So, that's where I was. And then that kind of fell through because like I said, I wasn't looking for a payday for myself. I was just trying to help out the younger guys that I felt should be looked at because of their talent.
You're paying it forward.
If you want to call it that, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've had an illustrious career. You've done a lot of things, and you're trying to make opportunities for the young guys. That's what good vets do. So that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, thanks.
And now it's that time. Now it's that magic time. And Red knows, because this is where we have See Red give you the roses. Because we know you, Trevor. We know your track record. We know who you are. But Red knows you better than anybody. So we are going to let Red give you the roses. See Red, why do you love this man?
Who says I love him? Shit.
I know you love him. You guys come from the same place.
Oh, okay. I can't heal it up. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. God, where do I begin when it comes to Trevor? Trevor never forgot where home was. And for a young guy coming up, that meant a lot. Trevor didn't have to be on a Windy City show to show up. Watch your matches and tell the guys what you did right, what you did wrong. Now, what Trevor doesn't know is I was a fan. Well, everybody knows I was a fan of Windy City before I joined Windy City. And it's ironic. He went and he took out his 401k. I just borrowed money from my parents. But I wasn't giving Sam 25, just drop it. No. I don't know how long I'm gonna last.
Was there a time that you thought you were going to quit?
Oh, everybody thought that was. I don't
Gotta
think.
buy it a nickel for every C-Red I'm gonna quit
No.
story.
No, only because, and I say it all the time. The kids go through training now. It's so much different from when I started training, which I'm sure is different from when Trevor was training.
Yep.
Again, we weren't allowed in the ring. Again, Sam didn't give a damn
Stand
how
up.
good you were. You stood outside and did stand up till one, you had a pair of boots, and two, he thought that you had learned the basics enough to then get in the said ring.
Yep.
You know, think about it. As great of a talent as Marche is, Marche had to stand outside and do stand up before he could get in the ring and just do simple shit like run the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he caught on, but again, so yes, I tell you today, I thought about quitting. And again, I told that story. Is the second day of fucking training, and Hunter Payne then called Baltazar. Hey, Corporal Jeff Jacobs. He's gonna kill me with that one. Trevor remembers that name,
Blast
right?
from the past.
Corporal Jeff Jacobs, Extreme, then Baltazar.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know my history? But told us, y'all gonna run down these 2 blocks and come back. 2 blocks, right? That don't seem like shit. But if you're on the southeast side, that's 4 blocks because it's a street, then there's a place.
Yep.
So you've got to run 4 blocks. And for somebody that was just still smoking up these and drinking every day, that was the hardest 4 blocks. Well, technically 8 because you 4 there and 4 back. And I remember I was dead. Like I just said, I just want my car keys. I'm getting in my car and I'm leaving. I'm done. And Marche
Did you throw up?
No,
Did
I
you
didn't
throw
throw up.
I never threw up either
Just
from running.
knew I didn't have the wind capacity at that point. And Marche came back. Like he didn't have, and that's why I'll forever be grateful. He didn't have to come back. And he grabbed me and he was like, "You got this, bro. You got this. Come on, we're gonna finish. We're gonna finish." And there was a Hispanic kid behind me, and he was sucking wind worse than me. Marche grabbed him. You know, he grabbed me, and you know, thus began our 20-year love affair with each other again. You know, but yeah, I thought about quitting. My greatest night is Battle of the Belts 20. And we had left Windy City. And we went back to Windy City. And they decided to do this whole coming home story. And somewhere I still have that picture. And Trevor walks in. Trevor wore a white tuxedo. Well, not white, but
No,
his,
it was
the
a
jacket
beige. It was
was
a
white.
beige. It was a beige sport coat, black
Yeah,
shirt,
well,
and blue jeans.
look, well, goddamn it, on the picture it looks white. It was just
Okay.
heads up.
Okay.
So, but Trevor comes over and he was like, "Hey, see," and I'm like, "Hey," he was like, "Keep doing what you're doing. You got it." And I'm like, "You don't have to. Understand everybody that was there that night. Nobody had to be nice to me, at least." And Trevor has always made me feel, even when I didn't deserve it, like I was one of the boys. You will not meet anybody more crazy, and I not mean crazy in a Kazile way. but
Kazai way.
he has a wonderful sense of humor, a beautiful spirit, a passion for this business. First of all, he was the first person I knew personally that made sure they were at the cauliflower alley club reunion every year. I didn't know anybody that went to that. I didn't even know it was still a thing. But every time I turned around, he was going. And you're the reason why I joined. If you never knew, you're the reason why I joined. I still ain't got the lifelong membership yet. I'm working up to it.
I did that a couple of years ago, man.
I'm working up.
Years ago.
But to share a locker room with him, and then there have been those rare moments where we actually shared the locker room, and he was preparing to wrestle, and to watch Trevor wrestle at this stage. Because again, I was a fan of Trevor's before I watched him walk out to amphitheater with his long flowing hair in red robe. Hey,
there's photos.
He was Boz before Boz.
He was Boz before Boz.
Although I've never done the leg kick.
No, he didn't do the leg kick, but he was, when I saw him, he was a mixture, and this is going to sound so corny, of Flair, Tully, and to me, Bobby Eaton, all rolled into one.
That is some high praise.
And
yeah, thanks. Let me divulge on that. Obviously, yes, Flair. The whole Horseman thing they were the reason why I got into the business, and I told JJ that at a CAC one year. JJ and I have become pretty close. We're both huge baseball fans. He's obviously a Philly fan, and I'm a Cub fan. But the other thing that we we talk wrestling when we meet up. We talk wrestling, but we talk more baseball. But the other thing that we also love is Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen. We're both huge Springsteen fans.
Oh, you got me there. I'm right there with you.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll talk.
We stand Springsteen in this house.
I'm sorry.
I said we stand Springsteen in this house. We love Springsteen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
August 9th and 10th, Wrigley Field, or 9th and 11th. I'm going to both shows. So flying in.
I saw him at Wrigley last time he was in town. What a great show that was.
So I was actually able to tell JJ that they were the reason. The whole their interviews, the whole lifestyle, the bad guys beating the shit out of, I mean, I love the Road Warriors, but when they go against the Midnights, that was magic. And yeah, you're right, Steve. Flair, Tully, and Bobby Eaton, because there was certain things. So like one of the things I took from Bobby Eaton was one of two things: throw the guy off, put your hands underneath his armpits, put him up, and he kicks his legs out, and I grab him and do the backbreaker as he's coming down. Well, I would always make sure that I would slide them off the right side of my leg, so they weren't taking the full brunt of a backbreaker and that they had to put their feet down. That was my way of protecting them from getting a serious back injury. Because if you don't put your feet down, you come down straight on the leg, on the full leg, it's gonna fuck you up. The other thing was the knee off the top rope from Bobby Eaton that I took, because they were great. They were a great tag. Not so much Condrey, but more so Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton.
Well, I knew Eaton. So again, Trevor is one of those jewels that we have. And you've already heard him say he's tried to pay it forward to the guys that are coming up. And if the one thing you didn't pay attention, he didn't always say he tried to put over his own children. He tried to give opportunities to vast people. And that just speaks to your character, that you care about this business that we love so dearly. Some people would have been selfish,
Hey.
you know. Hey,
That's
you
Rian.
know,
Rian's here.
and some people are selfish, you know, but that's not who you are. You've never been selfish. You've treated me always with kindness, respect, love, and I will forever be indebted to you for the ground that you laid the foundation, that I walk on, that we stand on, that and I always hope that especially our time, me and Marche and that class, that we did you guys proud, that years later we can be proud to represent the real Windy City whenever we're asked about it. But we know that it's guys like you and Frank, the Hangman, Mike Anthony, Boz, Terry,
The
you
Dream
know,
Warriors, the
the
Dream
Dream
Warriors, the
Warriors,
Untouchables.
Zebra Kid, you guys are the guys,
They all laid that
know.
laid that down for me.
you know.
You know, it's. I think back at to the Windy City days at the amphitheater, and the talent that we had was just incredible. And the other cool thing, if I mentioned it, then stop me. We were on TV on Sports Channel every week, and there wouldn't be a weekend go by if I was downtown Chicago or somebody would recognize me, and I'm a year in the business. How freaking cool was that? To be
Awesome.
noticed, after a year, and being on TV, and your friends are seeing you on TV. It's freaking cool. It's freaking cool.
I loved it. It was, first of all, it was free. So
Yeah.
I didn't, outside of having to have cable, it was the closest thing I got. But then to find out it was here and see all the cool stuff that you guys will do to me to this day. What was the family's name? The Mob. They
With
came out.
the Untouchables?
So when the Untouchables came out in the car,
Vinny the Torch Carbone?
yeah. But when they came out with the cars
Oh,
in the amphitheater,
yep.
like, that was it for me. We're not even gonna talk about the night that Brody swung a chair on somebody and cracked, I think, Terry's skull, or Terry cracked, one of them cracked each other's skull, and it was like, okay, great, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, blood fest, let's do it. And again, my mama don't understand sports. She ain't never tried to figure it out. She don't even understand what I do to this day. Okay,
That's fair.
but my daddy hated wrestling. So I had to sneak so bad and find ways to watch it once I was hooked as a youngster. And then to grow up and find out, hey, this is here in Chicago. I want to do this.
How old
But
were you when you were sneaking it?
when I was sneaking it, I was in my teens.
Oh, okay.
But again, I never thought that it was a possibility, because you looked at cats like Rosa Brody and Dick, and I'm like, these are big dudes. I'm never gonna be that big. My daddy is a midget. Genetically, I'm not gonna get it. I'm 100 pounds soaking wet. That dream is dead and gone. So I just didn't think about it, but it just lay dormant until that fateful run in with Sam again, you know, like,
Yep.
hey kid, here's a brochure. Oh, okay. I'll come check out the show tomorrow, and hooked again. Um, but yeah, I owe you a lot, Trevor. And I thank you for just always being one of the coolest guys. When we see each other, it's like we just saw each other last weekend. We talk shit, we crack jokes, we slap each other on the head,
Yep.
two bald men just hanging around,
Yep.
But
One with a little bit more gray than me, though.
oh, I'm proud of my grade. Oh, I am so proud of. But I thank you, and I love your boys, uh, and that's one of the, I guess, the biggest compliments you can have is look at your children. Um, when you raise two young men, and again, like you said, nobody's in jail, nobody's strung out, and they're doing what essentially you love for so many years. You did something right. You did something right. So that is your biggest testimony to this day. Is look at
Legacy.
yours.
It's legacy is what it is.
When you can look back and look at, I know me personally, I ain't do a lot of shit right in my life. But then I look at my girls and I say I did something right. So if you were wearing the hat, tip your hat, sir, because you raised two fine gentlemen. I love them very much, and I love you even more. So there you go.
Thank you. I love you too, bro. Love you
Wow,
too.
that's some good roses tonight. Way to go, Red.
Uh-huh.
Way to be up to the challenge tonight. Trevor, where can people see you? What do you got going here in the future? Where can people find you?
Well, I am actually booked in New Jersey through my buddy in New York again. We're teaming together June 17th in New Jersey. I forget the town, but I believe it's at an Elk Lodge, I think. Once I get more information on it, I'll post it on Facebook. And pretty much that's my only show, possibly until Rage. As you saw on Facebook and see, I'm not sure if you saw as well. What's up, Ryan? How are you, bro? Good to see you.
I'm okay.
Good.
I was going to use a timeout, but he just jumped the gun and then
So I had posted on Facebook that I work for Southwest Airlines, and I took a position. I basically got transferred down to Sarasota, and that's where I'm at right now. I had to come down here and complete some badging stuff and for the FAA and for the airport here. So I'm down here until Thursday, and I fly back home. But yeah, I'm moving down here. My first day to report here is June 1st. And then I basically said goodbye to the Pound Nation on Saturday and to the boys and girls at the show on Saturday in Fox Lake. I will be back for Rage. There will be a Royal, so I'll do that. But as far as, besides the June 17th and Rage, I really have nothing in my calendar. The only thing is, have you guys ever heard of a wrestler by the name of Tokyo Monster Kahagas?
I have.
Yes.
Okay. So he actually has a school in Tampa, which is about an hour and 10 minutes north of where I'm going to be living. I've already reached out to him, and I'm going to be dropping knowledge and training at his school. Also, David Heath Gangrel has a school in Fort Lauderdale. So I'll be reaching out to him to try and help out at his school. So like C said, paying it forward. I love teaching. I love teaching this business, and I love it when the kids get it, what I'm trying to get them to accomplish. I'm a trainer at Southwest for the new hires. Usually train 3 days a week. I love that love being, and I kind of relate the wrestling thing to the regular job thing, because in wrestling, you're not going to get it the first or second time you try. You have to work at it. Same thing with the airport. They're not going to get it right away, but eventually they will. And once they get it at work, it's really an easy job. And that's what I tell them. Once you learn how to stack the bags, in the front, evenly, it's like Tetris, or like if you're moving, if you got to put 100 bags in the front part of the plane, you just can't put them anywhere. You got to put them all the way back in that space, and learn how to utilize what you have coming at you, so that you can put everything where it needs to be. And the same thing with wrestling. Not everybody's going to be able to, get punches down, or to kicks. With working at Jewel, you've got boxes of paper towel and toilet paper. Well, when Sam showed us how to punch, he wanted us to work on that. I was punching at the boxes of paper towel and toilet paper, so I wouldn't fuck up my fingers hitting the wall. Took me about 2 years to master it, but I can I believe I've done this just to you. See, I've punched you on the tip of your nose.
Yes.
Full, a full on punch, and I'm just tipping you on your nose. And it's an art. It's an art, and people aren't going to get it right away. People aren't going to get the whole concept of what we do right away. Eventually they will. Hopefully they will. And it's not about, I remember there was a POW show, and we were booking it, and I was kind of assisting in this angle. And the thing was that this guy was going to wrestle in a dress, and he outright refused to wrestle in a dress because he had friends and family there. And I'm like, he blew the whole angle. That was leading up to the fight, to the blow off match, and he didn't want to do it because he had friends and family going. I'm like, dude, it's a fucking puppet show. Doesn't mean shit. Just because you wear a dress doesn't mean anything. It's for the enjoyment of the fans. I've worn a dress in front of the fans. Jimmy Blaze has worn a dress in front of the fans.
I have to.
I want the pictures of
I
Red.
was just gonna say I need the pictures.
Nope.
I will do anything for this business to put somebody over, to make me look, so that people get a laugh out of me. I don't care. Because when I walk away, when I get in my car, it doesn't matter. As long as they went home happy and got their money's worth, and I got paid and I didn't get hurt, that's all I care about.
Life is
a good
good.
night. It
Right?
was a good night.
Go have a couple of beverages with the boys or whatever, and so I don't know how much farther we're going to go, but I wanted to talk to you, Steve, about this, but I want to kind of do like a kind of rapid fire thing with names.
Okay.
That here in the Chicago area, and then I can just filter off.
Well,
my
let's
thoughts.
do your rapid fire, and then we'll say goodnight. I'm ready.
Okay.
Hit me with
Okay.
your.
I mean, I
Trevor
could
Blanchard.
honestly listen to you talk for the rest of the night. You're a really good storyteller, and like the warmth comes through the screen.
Oh, thank you very much. Have we ever met? Have we met?
No,
Okay.
No.
Remember, you gotta, when you're in town, you
Eventually,
gotta
maybe.
come see roller derby. Cactus
Yeah,
Jack is a roller derby all-star, and she
Oh,
beats up
okay.
people professionally.
Okay.
You may have met my boyfriend. I don't know if you would have met him, the hot rod daddy Andy.
No,
No,
doesn't ring a bell.
he's
Sorry.
originally from Baltimore, so he just started here in the last couple of years.
Wrestling or doing a roller derby?
Wrestling. He wrestled on the East Coast for like 5-6 years, and then he moved here, and so only in the last
Who's he working
2
with?
years.
Who's he working with?
He's doing Rocket Pro, Frontline,
Okay.
IPW. I think he's trying to get into ARW, CTW. Okay. He's around.
Have him reach out to Jimmy Blaze at POW.
All right.
POW.
Can do.
So before we do the rapid fire, I'll give you one more story. WCW, Mankato, Minnesota, doing taping. I wind up wrestling Van Hammer, who sucked. He sucked. This was the guy on a pay-per-view. They were teaching him how to lock up in the locker room, right? And this is when he was doing
Shouldn't laugh at that.
he was doing like the 60s kind of gimmick or whatever, and tie-dye and stuff, and so he wound up giving me a slight concussion. He gave me the Alabama Slam, and he fucking, instead of just letting my body go down, he threw me down. Sucked. So story with Big Show up to the arena. The guys knew who I was, and luckily nobody's done a rib on me or anything, right? So I get in the locker room, and I sit down, and I got snakeskin boots, and take those off and start getting changed, and Big Show's across from me, or Giant at the time, and he's shaking a can of shaving cream. He's like, I gotta rib somebody. I'm like, fuck. Right? So I get changed, go do my match, come back, my head's hurting, and I see Arn Anderson he's one of the agents. He's got his shirt off and he's got a towel over his head. And I'm like, and he would do the times. I'm like, what the hell is he taking a shower during the middle of the show for? So I get back to the locker room, and I'm like, well, there's either my gear bag is either full of shaving cream or my cowboy boots are snakeskin cowboy boots. So I pull my bag out and I open it up, and there's nothing in there. There's no shaving cream. I'm like, man, they got to be in the boots. So I grabbed the boots, went in the right one, and there's nothing. Close my eyes, put it in, nothing. All of a sudden, this huge hand comes on my head, and he turns it. He was like, I got Arn on the top of his head, but I got you, didn't I? And walked away. So he had gotten Arn on the top of his head with the shaving cream. That's why he had his shirt off and the towel, like he took a shower.
And he got you because you
and he got me. I was the secondary, yeah, because I thought I was going to get it. So
it's probably one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Oh my God! I've got
was not the one on you.
I've got so many stories. You guys ever do the name game? Where let's say I say Randy Orton. You have to come up with a wrestler's name that starts with N. So you would say Norman the Lunatic. Last name is C. Okay? Or the last letter in lunatic is C. Charlie Norris you can go with. Yeah, you just go on and on. So I'm with Kazile, Mason, Austin Spicoli, and Kyle's girlfriend. We drove 3 hours to Grand Rapids, checked into our hotel. Then we had to drive another 2.5 hours north. Okay. Did the show. We're on our way back. And we did this game to stay alert and stay awake and everything. I did hit a raccoon. I felt bad about it. It jumped out of nowhere, like an RKO out of nowhere. So we're driving, and it comes down to me and Mason. Okay. And he said a name, and it ended in Y. I don't remember who. Right? And it's getting down. You have like 2 minutes to come up with a name, and it's like under 20 seconds. And I'm driving. Now, Mason has played this a lot. This is the first time I played it. He's never won. He's like so jacked. He's got me. He's finally going to win this game, right? Probably got like less than 10 seconds, and I blurt out, Yamaguchi. He's like, what? Who's that? Kyle looked it up. Yamaguchi was the manager of Kaientai. Yeah. Somebody had said Sid Vicious. He said Psycho Sid. You can't repeat it, so I wound up winning.
That counts. It does count.
It counts. So, all right, let's do rapid fire.
First of all, before we do rapid fire, Cactus is so enamored with you. We're going to have to bring you back down the line and do Trevor Blanchard part 2.
I was actually going to say, can we have Trevor on once a month?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is, I honestly love teaching. I love talking about the business.
I'm going to send you a friend request after this. My profile picture is like a drag queen with purple hair. It's not me. So because I love talking about this stuff, and my boyfriend loves talking about this stuff, and like I said, I could listen to you talk all day long.
Thank you. Next time I'll charge you $20 an hour.
That's
He
fine.
totally will. All right, rapid fire. I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right.
So what do I do?
No, you throw out a name of a local guy.
Throw out a
active.
Shogun Chris Logan.
Who?
Shogun Chris Logan.
Honestly, I don't know much about him, so I can't.
How about Sexy Violence, Quinn Whittick?
Another guy. There's so many guys out there.
Shay Rocket.
I would honestly love to have a match with him and take one of his chops.
Oh my God, his chops hurt bad. Oh, I took a chop.
I give him right back though. I give him right back. You know, I mean, maybe before honestly, I'd like to try and do 35. I'd honestly like to try and do 35 years. So right now I'm at 33. So within maybe the next 2 years, maybe I'll have to talk to Jim.
Not Rion. I'm sorry. C-Red, hit him with something.
Steve Boz.
The
BOZ. I got a funny story about Steve, and I love Steve. I remember when he broke in, he was like about 150 pounds or whatever, and the joke was that the way he bumped, it was like a piece of paper floating in the air. But I love Steve. I love Steve.
Rion, what do you got? Give him a name.
Just any name.
Any name from the local scene.
Okay. Chi-Town T.
He said Chi-Town T.
I've worked when he was running out in Indiana. I worked with him. I love him. I have not seen Mr. Jerome in a long time. We're friends on Facebook, but yeah, he was always great to me, and never got stiffed on a payday, which is a good thing. So I did get stiffed out in Michigan one time. A guy by the name of Scotty Z, and those shows that I worked out in Holland, Michigan. Rhino was actually Rhino Richards before he became Rhino. So I've known Rhino for 20 plus years. But yeah, the guy screwed me on pay. I was his champion. I left with the belt. This was again before cell phones. He called me Sunday. He called me Monday. He called I had my wife, no, he's not home. No, he's not home. Thursday, I finally called. Hey man, how's it going? I'm like, good man. How are you? He's like, hey, you got my belt? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, well, you took off. I'm like, right. I said, you fucked me on pay. So here's the deal. I said, next show, you have to pay me what you owe me and pay me for that night. I said, plus you're going to need to get me a hotel room from now on. I said, because I'm not driving 3.5 hours back home. So I showed up. I kept the belt in the trunk. And that was the first thing out of his mouth after he gave me the pay. And I looked at what he, owed me, and he squared up. He was like, you got the belt? I'm like, yeah, it's close. It's close. Okay. And then after we went back inside, I went back out and got the belt, and he never fucked me on pay.
Valuable lessons learned by everybody in that situation.
If you're a champion, you get fucked on pay, take the belt.
That makes sense. Cactus, hit him with one.
Mateo Valentine.
Good worker. He wrestled Kazile at T-Wood. There was talk about taking a spine buster on the outside where there's very thin carpet and the cement floor. And Brian wound up having to call the match because I guess his eyes rolled in the back of the head and he started convulsing. Bad decision on his part for one. I understand he wanted to take it and make Kyle look good, but at times you gotta think outside the box and how is this going to end?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he took it on a table, he would have been fine. I was not there at that show, but I heard it was pretty bad. And I'm very grateful that he hasn't suffered any long-term residual from that, because that one bump could have put him out of wrestling forever.
Yeah.
Thankfully he's okay. Thankfully he's okay. Great kid. I know he's going to be part of that show on June 4th and for POW and at the Brower House. It's a Pride show. Very excited for him and everybody that's all involved in that. So yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Rian's going through your greatest hits on his screen. He's I believe that's a childhood picture of you there, Mr. Blanchard. He's going through your Facebook and he's posted all of your.
Oh yeah, with the bow tie. Yeah. I don't know how I was, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. That's shitty.
Dapper Dan.
Huh?
You're Dapper Dan right there.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I got a name for you. What about Terry Allen?
Very snug. I've been in a ring with him. I've been in a ring with him. When I'm in a ring, I'm very light. Like when I was, so Mike Anthony and I were married for about 1.5 years with Sam. We opened every show. And, the first probably like 6 shows, we were doing basically the same thing. And then we started mixing it up. And then it got to the point where we were like, not being extra snug, but snug enough to be comfortable. I was comfortable with him being snug with me. He was comfortable with me being snug with him. It wasn't like we were trying to hurt each other. When we were just trying to make it look as good as possible. Terry was the same way. Wrestled him. He was snug, but I gave it right back. We actually worked at his brother-in-law's ice cream company. He was in a warehouse. I was a sales rep. So Terry and I got to become really, really close, outside of wrestling. I know that, with him being a pastor, we talk religion, at times. Yeah, he's if I need advice on something, he's got a pretty level head, and I feel the same way if somebody reaches out to me about a certain situation, whether it be wrestling or even personal, and be like, well, do you really think that needs to be done, or do you really think you should say that, or maybe you can approach it a different way. I have zero drama in my life right now, and it's great. It really is. There's no stress in my life or anything. My bills are paid. I'm moving to Sarasota in 2 weeks, and things are great. I'm not going to be there for winters anymore. So
that's a bonus.
So, and plus my work at Southwest is going to be severely cut. I'm going to be going from like 275 flights in the summer down to like 20 or less. I think they had 7 flights today total in and out of the airport here in Sarasota. So a lot of dead time, but it's going to be like I'm semi-retired.
Well, you certainly earned it. You have busted your ass your whole life, and to ride off in the sunset is something that you very much deserve. You have been fantastic tonight, and rest assured, we will call you and we will have you back on this show for more stories. We appreciate everything you mean to this business. We appreciate everything you've said here tonight. And we thank you for your time, especially down fitting us in, and you're traveling and you're getting acclimated down in Sarasota. We appreciate it. And, we hope you'll come back on and talk with us again real soon.
Okay, Steve. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate allowing me this outlet, and yeah, reach out to me. Let me know what you guys.
Oh, we're not halfway done with you, Mr. Blanchard. We'll be back. Rest assured. All right. Trevor Blanchard, give it up. Nice
Thanks,
work.
guys.
Have a great night, Trevor. We'll see you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. That's Trevor Blanchard doing his stuff down in Sarasota. What can you say? What can you say about that guy?
He's still here.
He's still here. He's trying to log up.
I'm trying. Oh, leave. That's
leave.
Leave. All right. I'm leaving, guys. Bye.
We hadn't left. He's still there.
Oh, you gotta love technology. Well, that was fun. Cactus, you loved it. I'm glad that you loved it.
Thank you.
All right.
That was good. I like anecdotes.
He was an anecdote machine.
That was the perfect interview for me. I don't necessarily always want to get into the nitty gritty. I just want to hear stories.
Well, he's seen it all and he's done it all, and it's great to hear his experiences. And I love those pictures, Rian. I saw Jeff Jarrett. I saw Ric Flair. I mean, this man has legitimately been around, since the golden era of at least our experience in this business. Moving on to other topic at hand. Obviously, we're going to talk about Rocket Pro here in a few minutes. We got a lot to talk about that. We also want to talk about the Knockouts, which is coming up this Saturday night as we prepare for the summer break. This is going to be the last bout until August, I believe. So this is the
last home bout.
So you guys are going to Michigan
twice, yes.
So it's the last home bout until August, and then obviously the Knockouts will be traveling, and we'll talk about that as well. I want to touch on Fusion Pro Wrestling just for a moment. I had an outstanding time there Friday night, saw some great matches. Paulie Tomaselli versus Matteo Valentine, who Cactus had mentioned earlier. What a great match that was. The moment of the night, of the whole damn night, was when that crowd started chanting Daddy Paulie. I mean, it was a laugh riot, and it was what a great match. Jordan Cross, the punk rock prince, was there. I gave him your regards, Cactus. He said, I love getting into it with her. So he's a big fan of yours now. So congratulations with that.
Yeah.
Any chance I get to work with Main Event Missa Kate is a great opportunity. She is as good as it gets, and she delivered all night long. I got to deal with Hollywood Boz. C-Red, have you seen Hollywood Boz yet?
This is just Boz with a beard, dude.
Like, really? He's got merch. He's got the BWO, the Boz World Order. And it's got Hollywood Boz on the back of it.
First of all, again, you can't say BOZ, Boz World Order. Like, it just doesn't work there.
It worked.
No, somebody needs to explain to him. NWO, LWO, every letter has a meaning. So BOZ needs, but never mind.
It's BWO. Boz World Order.
No, the shirt says BOZ.
That's all right. We're going to let him have that one. His manager, Mr. Television, is something to behold as well. But we'll get into that another time. Uncle Doug, I have not worked with Uncle Doug the heel, and boy, was he a heel. And then I also worked with Axel Rico as a heel, which was interesting. So the world of Fusion Pro Wrestling, where I'm the commissioner, it was a great night. And you know what? Anytime you go in that building in Villa Park, the Galley Arena, there's a certain magic to it. I mean, they're just some buildings you walk into and you can feel the history, you can smell the history with the big photos on the wall. It was such an amazing experience, and it was such a great show. I had a great time. Apocalypto versus Doug Simmons coming up in June is going to be terrific. So if you get a chance to check out Fusion Pro, you really should. Go to the Galley Arena, have a night there. It's really fun. It goes very quickly. It's a very timely show, 7 to 9:30, a couple hours, and you get great wrestling out of it. Jordan Cross, Missa Kate, pay to see them every day of the week and twice on Sunday. They're very entertaining. So that was my experiences with Fusion Pro. So we'll get to Rocket in a minute. Cactus, let's talk a little knockouts.
Okie dokie.
We've got the blue versus the red, I believe, this week. We've got the Crushers versus the Rumblers. Talk to me a little bit about what we can expect.
Well, as you know, Boss broke her. Is it the fibula or the tibula?
I can look that up real quick.
You almost brought me to tears when you said that, because she is one of the knockouts that I enjoy watching perform the most. And I was messaging her today, and I'm just like, when Cactus told me, I was all choked up about it. But I know you're going to come back.
So the context is that Like Boss is one of the most talented derby skaters there is. She's been skating for it's gotta be more than 10 years, I think. And she is originally from TXRD, came up here, joined the knockouts, and she's such a good skater that WFTDA, the Flat Track Association, a team asked her to come skate with them at a tournament in Iceland. And so within the first jam, I believe, the break occurred.
Fibula.
And the fibula, yeah, she broke her fibula. Thank you, Rian.
Okay.
Luckily they said it was a clean break. But yeah, it's kind of like devastating. It's kind of like a shock to the system that it's, it's boss, you know. So we kind of, the blue team Crushers, we have to rethink our strategy a little bit. We're so far undefeated. We want to keep that going, but it's
There it is right there.
There's boss's break.
There's boss's ankle. It's yeah, it's gonna be intense. We're definitely gonna have to compensate for that loss. But it's the last bout of this particular part of the season. The Crushers have been undefeated so far, and I think we're going to do whatever we have to maintain that undefeated streak.
Well, you're more important than ever because with the Twisted Sisters not being able to do their thing, Marley is going to need you now more than ever.
Yes, the hand of God.
Hand of God, indeed.
But I'm going to have to up my playing a lot. I have really been working on myself physically the last few months to get back to where I was. I've been working on my endurance at home. I've been weightlifting. And so I guess I don't want to say that it was foreshadowing, but subconsciously I was preparing for having to be able to do a little more than I've been doing. So we'll see what I can bring to the table this time.
So do you think that now, obviously, the comic book Crushers are at a disadvantage with one? I mean, it's like any sports team when a MVP caliber player can't play. Obviously, it's next man or woman, in this case, up, but that affects the dynamic of what the Crushers can do. Who steps up other than you to fill the void of like a boss?
Well, I mean, Marley is a law unto herself. So
there's no doubt about that. That's
yeah.
That's a bad bit.
Yeah. Let me pull up the roster while can you guys still hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay.
We're also looking at the new graphic, the new Knockouts graphic.
Yes,
which,
by John Bickness.
Go buy that shirt.
Yes.
I'm going to buy that shirt.
Let me see.
Are you going to buy that shirt? You already got a Knockout shirt.
Yes, I do.
So I don't want to give away too many secrets of what's going to be happening and who's going to be doing what on what team, but I think we are one of my Rhinestone sisters, Ricky Ricochet. Ricky Ricochet is one of the most spectacularly talented skaters I've ever met, and she'll be on the Crushers this time. Funny story, I fucking hated her the first time I met her because she hit me out, and I don't think she knows this, so Ricky, I love you now, and that's all that matters. She hit me out, and I landed on my my bad knee really hard, like within 10 seconds of meeting her during a shark bait drill, and I was so fucking pissed I had to leave, and the wonderful Goat had to talk me down for like an hour because I was just like but she's so wonderful. She's so sweet. She's so talented. She's such a good skater. So that's really going in our favor. We have a lot of really good blockers. We have a lot of really good jammers. I think it's mostly the fact we have to keep the morale up because it's always hard when someone that you skate with is hurt. It's not just her. Dia Beatdown has had a leg fracture. It was kind of funny yesterday because I had surgery yesterday. Beatdown had surgery yesterday. Someone else had another kind of
you guys are like a damn MASH unit.
Yeah, yeah. Spank had some kind of scan. So it's just kind of like you get used to having people out there with, and not even necessarily in specific roles, but as like moral support. And then like they're hurt, and that you feel that because it's it feels different out there. So, and if anyone ever feels like, especially in Derby, like you're not needed out there, when someone who has been out there with you is missing, even if you don't often interact with them outside of you do offense and you do defense, you feel that difference. So it's going to be a different dynamic on Saturday for sure.
So get those tickets now. As if last month or the last show was any indication of what's going to happen, people will get turned away at the door because that thing fills up pretty quickly. I mean, they brought people down on the floor, which is dangerous as hell.
It is.
With the way you guys are whipping around
Yeah.
that track. We saw the last time I was there that we almost took out one of the camera areas completely.
Yes.
So
It's getting rough to get in. So if you want tickets, get them now. Go to Chicago Knockouts on Facebook, hit the link, buy your tickets before you have to get to the door, because there were people that drove from, I think Barb, the Amazon, and Rob, her husband, they drove all the way from Kankakee from a wedding to make it to the bout, and they just missed being able to get in. Like just missed.
Oh,
So yeah, which I wish I'd known. I would have been like, it's fine. They can sit behind the announcers. I'll take responsibility for them.
yeah, we could fit 20 or 30 people up on that stage. That's called stadium. That's some real stadium seating.
But yeah,
Loud.
I can't express enough like what you're missing if you don't give roller derby a chance.
I have been trumpeting this horn ever since I got there. It is the most,
And I don't want to say it's all like so many talented women, because it's not just women. It's so many talented people out there.
So many talented people, and Judgment Dave.
And Judgment Dave, yes.
Who's now a TikTok star. He's now a TikTok star.
He is, yes.
Damn him and his lame rules.
Yes. It's exciting because this weekend you're going to see the debut of quite a few characters you haven't seen before. We have some skaters skating not necessarily for the first time, but there are a couple that are skating for the first time. There are some that are skating for the Crushers for the first time. We have a lot in store for you. I just can't stress enough how hard we're all working to put on a show every month that people want to see. So
read between the lines, kids. What Cactus is saying is get your ass to the HF auditorium and see for yourself. And then once that's done, go to Rabid Brewing for the after party. Period.
Yeah. And May 20th, come to Michigan and see us play against the Hydrogen Bombshells.
May 20th, you say?
Yeah.
May 20th. It's Frontline Pro. But I'll be up in Northern Illinois, so maybe I come to the knockouts when I'm done there.
We'll be in Michigan.
Well, I'm going to be much closer to Michigan than I am right now.
We're going to be in Detroit.
I got a car.
Okay.
I'm like Tracy Chapman. I got a fast car.
Okay, well, bring Hot Rod with you, because Hot Rod will be at Frontline. This is gonna be like our first weekend away from each other ever.
Oh, star-crossed love. Don't worry. I'll drive him, and he and I'll. Hey, I'm going to Frontline on the 20th. So if Hot Rod,
Marley and I are bringing our daughters. June 3rd is the first Chicago Knockouts minors bout, which
June
my
3rd.
daughter and Marley's daughter and a Judgment Dave's daughter.
What time is this happening?
I have to double check. I think it's around 5 or 6.
Okay. I might be able to actually catch that. I have to work my shoot job that day, but I don't have any wrestling, so I'm going to try to see the minors.
I believe it's a bit later, because there's another event happening earlier that I will not divulge on here.
All right, so knockouts. Cactus Rack will not be Cactus Rack at this particular show. It is the effervescent Russian Blue.
Yeah, I actually will not be Cactus Rat going forward.
That hurts me, but I understand.
Yeah, so yeah, until I come up with a new moniker, you can just call me Rachel.
Okay, Rachel. Sorry. My bad. All right, so that's happening this Saturday. Get your tickets. HF Auditorium is going to be rocking. Red tells me that the League of Wrestlers is also happening this Saturday. Red, what say you of this?
What do you mean? What say this?
Well,
It is happening this Saturday, sir. You would, and after our graphic is closed. 2750 Central Avenue, Lake Station. Tickets are $10. Doors open at 5. Meet and greet from 5:30 to 6. Bell time 7 o'clock. The card is as follows. Well, I had it, and then just like that, of course, it disappeared. Damn it, Steve. I blame you.
this is not my fault.
Or I blame Nokos, one or two.
Well, we always
The card in no particular order. D Nightmare versus a mystery opponent. The Sheik versus Rage. Sanji versus Michael Pierce.
what
And
does Michael Pierce call him? He's like he's got a nickname that I was just like the Dream Piercer or something of that nature.
really,
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you right now,
Interesting.
it's Michael Pierce.
Yeah, right.
Angus McDuff versus Mike Strong.
Oh, Mike Strong, formerly of Smash and Flash.
Formerly, the
Still waiting for that tag team to come back.
the LOW Women's Championship will be on the line as my own RVP defends her title against La Rosa Negro, who was recently
RVP is champion there too.
yes,
Why shouldn't she be?
I don't know.
and the Trios Championship will be defended
I don't want to hear if Miles is there. I don't care.
as the defending Trios champion, the ARC of C Red, D'Angelo Steele, and Decaying Miles Mercer defends
Decaying.
their titles, and we'll
Hey, here's
retain
the
our
picture.
titles against Sean Danger and the Rednecks.
Oh,
So
Who are the
stay away from
Rednecks?
Danger.
the Rednecks are, I can't think of their name. Mr.
Okay.
Skills, you what Jack and
You know what? I'll show you what's happening, why it's took me so long to get this photo. So by doing what you're asking me to do right now at this very moment, because of the resolution, this is what's going to happen. So I can then bring it back down. Just give me a second, same photo, and hopefully I can catch this accordingly. See what you got, what it look like. Is that better?
Well, I can see it a little closer now.
yeah, I mean we can see it closer, but I can't
I feel
I
like
can't-
mine got further out.
you know.
We've got some extraterrestrial shit happening right now.
Because if I go with what I originally was going to go with, wait, maybe this will work. Let's see. Oh, we'll see. Let's see what happens.
We're all waiting for Rion and his technologies.
Yeah,
Right. Everybody's like,
That worked. Did that
Drum
work?
roll. I don't know. I
Did that
didn't see it
happen?
change. Nothing happened.
right, I didn't see anything change.
All right. So we got League of Wrestling. What is it? I'm sorry. I misspoke. What is it? League of Wrestlers, right?
League of Wrestlers, LOW.
LOW. So that's a fun show. going head to head with the knockouts, I don't know how I feel about that, Red. You
Well,
should be in Homewood, Red.
I have to defend my
You keep saying
title,
you're gonna
sir.
come, Red.
I have to defend my title, sir.
That's
Do you
fair.
not see the picture right there with me with the belt? Understand, at our last show, me and Miles, everybody's on this Roman Reigns kick. Me and Miles held the LOW tag team titles for over 4 years.
Oh,
Nobody beat us. 4 years.
Look at those guys. And
So we turned in our tag titles to add our partner.
why you gotta have D'Angelo Steele as part of that? I feel like he takes away from everything you're trying to do.
No, he adds to it.
Maybe
Not
The
very
ARC,
good.
ARC keeps growing.
I feel like you should get somebody else.
We keep growing.
Island of Pretty is a misprint. Is he wearing a Nirvana shirt there?
Yes.
Out of here with that. He don't even know who Nirvana is.
that's about the best I can do as far as getting everything in information wise.
There's the information.
That's all you need right there. That's it.
So if you're not
the
coming to
perfect-
Homewood and you can't make it to the HF Auditorium, I guess go see C-Red and what he's doing. I mean, at least you'll
I
rep
guess.
the power up.
Well, again, Rosa Negro, just appeared on NWA for the NWA women's title. She put on one hell of a contest here at NWA 312. She is a very, very top, one of the best women in the country right now. So I had to do some scouting so I can make sure RVP is up to the task. Anybody else in the picture really isn't worth two shits to talk about because we've whooped everybody's ass. So that's what we do.
You get to see cheeks half the way. That's what you get.
All right. Well,
There we go. There we go. That's all they need.
We got LOW and we've got the knockouts. We're gonna end the show. We're gonna talk.
Oh, we know how that's gonna go.
We're gonna talk about what went down this past Saturday night in Joliet. The season finale of Rocket Pro Wrestling. Did we not have do it?
I'm not doing it. You got it in your hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where your screen needs to be enlarged because someone's ego on this screen is about to become huge.
Not true.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely not true. Let's talk.
So I project it to my TV.
You should. Maybe it'll fit.
Mhm.
Before we talk about all the good stuff that happened at Rocket Pro, congratulations.
Did anything bad happen?
Well, nothing bad happened, but congratulations to the JFW podcast. They increased their ranks by the power of one as a PX, or Pac-Man, as Travis calls him, is now a permanent member of the JFW podcast, which is amusing to me on many levels. And if you catch the JFW podcast, listen to the last 5 minutes because Travis goes on one of the most amusing rants I've heard in a podcast in a while. So I like what PX is going to do to that show. Travis did a great job on commentary. C-Red, I hear you did a great job on commentary. So while we were doing other things, it was great that we had such great people to sit in for us and do commentary for the show. How did you guys enjoy the Power Hour live? I thought that was festive.
It was fun. I do agree with Travis about the fan engagement.
Well, okay, so enlighten me. What
Did he say? Because I didn't hear it.
That they had an opportunity to interact with the roster and they didn't take it.
Like I said,
That's fair. I mean, but look at what we did get.
Wait, what'd you say, Rion?
Right.
said that the fans suck.
Okay, yes.
That's what he said.
You're not saying that, but that's what you
That's
said.
what Travis said, that they had an opportunity to check these guys out, and they chose not to. Never mind the fact that part of the time it rained. they had a chance to come out for a couple extra dollars and check out everything, just to interact with just wrestlers, staff, and everyone. And this is Travis T talking. They dropped the ball, not Rocket Pro. The fans did. The fans that showed up to the show, it was standing room only again. Like there should have been, and this is what Travis T was. If 10% were to show up there, it would have been a lot easier to manage, so to speak. So I get what he's saying. I understand all of that. This is all stuff that he was saying. It's not me. I didn't say the fans suck. I haven't said it, not going to say it, but this more or less came from him on the podcast. That's what I heard from JFW. And we just put their thing up real quick. They made it clear that they don't get mentioned nearly as much because they don't deal with controversy nearly as much. So let me put them up here just to make sure that
what do we deal with controversy? Is that what it's saying?
We don't talk about them enough. I really think it means more we don't talk about the Amazing Turtle enough, which is fine.
Well, Turtle, you want to talk about big screens? I mean, how about Turtle's head, huh?
Well, let me just say this, that I'm not going to say the fans suck, but I will say that I think that they missed out on a huge opportunity. If you've ever walked through the door, especially now where that's where the guys are selling their merchandise.
Yep.
A lot of times it gets bottlenecked because you've got people trying to look at merchandise and people trying to get in and get tickets. And here was an event, and again, only for a few extra dollars. And again, you didn't have to come at the very start, but you could have came closer where hey, you could get in and get a good park and interact and meet people. And there wasn't a lot of fans there. And I mean, we make the best of it. I think we just winged it. And what you say?
You guys are great.
We did the best we could. I think again, collectively as a unit, everybody did their part, which made that work so well. Again, that there's 4 of us, and not taking away anything from anybody else, but it worked in our advantage. And again, I think I personally would have liked to see fan interaction as far as not only us bringing people on stage, but fans asking legit questions.
That's kind of where my agreement with Travis came from, is that it felt like we were just talking amongst ourselves more so, and it would have, I don't want to say like more interesting, but it would have gone in a different direction if we'd gotten more questions from fans than just from other workers. If that makes sense.
For those of you that missed Rachel's dress for fan access,
God.
It was amazing.
Yes, it was.
I am never wearing it again, so keep that memory in your mind.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, Red will. I thought it was really good. And all the Rocket Pro stars were very present in what we were trying to do, which I appreciated. The Coyotes sat at a table and watched and interacted. The Scumbag Army watched and interacted. No Coast was there. Gunner Brave, Damian Saint, even Chris Logan came up and shared his trip to Italy, which I thought was a pretty cool thing. Davison Sarai came up and endeared herself to the fans as only she can. Rion had interactions with the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. There was a lot of cool stuff that happened.
And some bad stuff.
And some bad, and then Grin, of all things, comes out. And I've never seen C-Red so uncomfortable in my life.
Skip it.
But
on to the next up.
I thought it was a nice start to the event. It was
I did.
back and relaxed, and everybody was in a good mood, and it was entertaining and engaging. So if they ask us to do fan access again, I'd speak for all of us. We would love to do it. When we come back in September, I think I'd like to do it again.
You can do it.
Well, I just think we did good, and I think it could be a good little thing.
You three can do it.
Is it because you're the outer limits, not the outer limit? You're the inner county.
Why do you keep saying that?
It's because I was doing a lot of running, Steve.
Well, I know you run a lot.
Please continue.
We're going to continue. So the show started, and the first match right out of the gate was your match, a hotly contested match. Have you healed from your lightsaber injuries?
I made it here.
You did. You're the champion now. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's at the house. It's in the bag. That's all I can say right now, because I can't carry it with me. I mean, I'm not sure if you want me to go with a shoot route or a working route, because that tends to like switch from time to time. So I'm not even sure where we're going with this at this very moment, because I feel like there's much more important things to talk about, because I can always circle back around and talk about this. I don't know what you want out of me from this, Steve. Do you want what do you want me to say about
I just was
Well-
asking you how it feels to be a champion. Yeah.
Well, can I speak for a minute? And let me just say, I think you opened his eyes. I will say that.
We'll see. We'll see.
I at least by the end of the night, that's how I feel. That
Okay.
maybe
We'll see.
all the ass whooping, his eyes are now open. I will say that.
I took a lot of ass whooping. Hell, my ass was halfway out by the end of it from taking a wedgie that apparently nobody saw. So, yeah, that was a whole nother thing in itself. But,
But yeah, so I will say, I believe, his eyes have seen the glory of the come, but
Coming of the real deal.
it wasn't about the real deal. It's never been about the real deal, Steve. And it keeps going over your.
It was just something to say.
I know he wants me to say stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't know either.
So on to the second match.
Well, I want to hear what Cactus was involved. I'm sorry, Rachel. Tell us about your experiences at RPW.
Which ones?
The ring stuff, whatever you want to talk about, because you were there, you were very present in all the things that were going on.
I was not in my best form. I had a sick kid at home. Somebody made a comment that triggered my body dysmorphia, and I was crying most of the time. So, yeah. I just remember Joey Roth hitting Johnny Nye in the face with the championship, and that was that.
I was just working out for you, Steve.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least she gets to talk, and she gives her opinion, and it's a win-win for everybody at this point. Okay, Red, continue.
On to the second match, sir.
Like he said in the beginning. On to the second match.
You don't understand. I was not doing commentary. I was backstage doing other
That
things.
would be no coast versus no coast.
Yes. I did not get to see Budge. So I'm relying on my friends.
I'll do it this way. What would you like to talk about, Steve?
I want to talk about the show. I mean, I saw a little bit of the number one contender tag team match with the final level. I saw a little bit of that. I saw a little bit of the Aaron Stone, Ryan Matthews. It was astonishing that Quinn Whittick was unable to be there, and he got stripped. I thought that was a very bold maneuver by Damian Sate, the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's been seducing Quinn for months to become part of the Undeniable, and Quinn can't be there to defend his title, and he strips him. and gives the opportunity to another member, next man up in the undeniable, the Ryan Matthews.
That seems weird to you?
It doesn't seem weird to me, but when you're trying to win over an athlete to come to your stable, that's not a great way to do it.
Unless you already have another plane in tow.
Well, perhaps we will find that out in September.
It's not a different.
And let's not forget, last month, the master of the bear hug joined Undeniable. So I'm just saying.
Who's Bear Hug?
Steve Michaels.
Steve Michaels.
Chicago
Got
connection.
it. Okay.
So for me, the whole night was about, and Steve can start gloating, I guess, at this point. The Idols foundation has fallen.
They gone.
So
And I had a front row seat to the cracks.
yes, you did. 8-man tag. The Idols versus is it Turtle Power? Is that what it's called? Turtle Power?
Yeah, Turtle Power and those damn coyotes.
Right. The newly RPW tag team champions, those damn coyotes.
About the Chicagoland champion, because he will remind you that you didn't talk about him being the Chicagoland champion, the Amazing Turtle. I don't want no smoke. I don't want any issues, because I don't want no chests being puffed up. Just, you have to say that, Mr.
You don't want any shells being puffed up, you mean?
You have to say it, Brad. That
The Rocket Pro Chicagoland champion.
that is in his name now.
The Amazing Turtle. He legally changed it.
You gotta say it.
I have to say it.
You have to at least acknowledge that he is. And
He can't.
I've acknowledged this since he won it.
He can't really be that mad.
Not taking it.
Paulie Tomaselli last week spent 45 minutes talking about the turtle. We give Turtle plenty of airtime.
And Turtle took a couple of those minutes and challenged Tomaselli to come over to Rocket Pro. I mean, we can, however you want to do it.
Should have seen Chris Logan's face when I played that portion of the interview where Paulie Tomaselli said, "Yeah, I'm going to beat them. I can beat them by myself." That's going to happen.
Well, he was talking about the final level.
Final
But let's again, this 8-man. You can see kinks in the armor. You can see the foundation starting to crack. The Idols were off. They were not in sync.
They weren't even the Backstreet Boys.
No, they weren't. It just was so un-idol-like. And I think with them losing the tag titles last month, that they were shaken. And they won't admit it, but they were shaken. So going into this match, they thought, I'm going to be honest, they probably thought Turtle Power, the Chicagoland champion, the Amazing Turtle.
Get it right. Get it right.
Hot Rod Daddy Andy. They thought maybe they thought that they would be the weak link in this match. Andy threw so many Europeans, I lost count. He was just throwing Europeans left and right. Just he was giving them away like Oprah. You get an uppercut. You get a European. Everybody was getting one.
I don't think I've ever heard Hot Rod Daddy Andy compared to Oprah before, but I love it.
Hey.
Did you see the knot he left on Johnny Nye's face?
Yes.
Well, see, here's the problem. They thought they were going to cheat. And
I was standing right
Joey-
there and I saw it all happen.
Joey, for some reason, hit Nye. Now,
Joey
Could have been an
Took-
accident.
Joey took too long to gloat to the crowd and play to the crowd about being an idol, I guess. And was it Andy that Johnny had?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Andy. And he gave Andy time to clear his head and jump out of the way, and there goes Johnny Nice forehead.
And there goes the Fabulous Idols taking another L. But what was amazing after this match was Flash Harris and believing that there was a vendetta set against him, and he doesn't know by who. He doesn't know if it's by Damian Saint. He doesn't know if it was by Shelly or her husband. I won't say what he said. But he felt like Rocket Pro has been giving him some very hard competition as of late.
Mhm.
And
That
then
trend continued.
the lights go out.
And then Red got nervous.
I got very nervous. Thank God he didn't see me at the commentary table.
Oh, so he didn't sit in your lap again?
Thank God. Grin comes out and Grin puts a molly whopping all on Flash Harris again.
It was Molly Whopping. You can use that term, Molly Whop.
And I felt bad for Flash. Because here's some people that you've put your hopes and dreams into for past few years, and all within a matter of months, everything can start crumbling.
Got Thanos snapped.
So a great match by the RPW Tag Team Champions, those damn Coyotes, Hot Rod Daddy Andy, and the Chicagoland champion, the Amazing Turtle. They made a statement. So it was very entertaining, but I wondered, was this a prelude to what would come? Other matches, Gunner Brave versus
the Heartbreak Coyote.
That's what you call him.
That's what I call him, because that's what he is.
Connor.
In classic.
It was a classic. It's funny, I told Gunner I was glad outside of the one chair issue, there was no make me cringe, make me go and look over at anybody in this family and make sure that they weren't losing their mind at this point.
Well, that chair scenario was enough for everybody.
Yeah, it was. But they put on one hell of a solid match. And we have a new
Outer Limits
champion. Another one of those damn Coyotes. Why can I not think of Connor's last name?
Hopkins.
No. Thank you. Connor Hopkins is the new champ.
So you got Berna and Deshane as your tag champs.
Yes.
Hopkins as your Outer Limits champ. And that leaves Christian Rose, who was not in a title competition.
Oh, let's talk about
that match against Lucky.
Let's talk about that.
I don't
really want to get
match. I want to talk about the end.
Let's talk about the end. You want to talk about the end?
I don't sign off on that. I don't like it.
So no.
Not happy.
Here's the thing. You always bring up Dreamwave and Christian and me knowing Christian. And I'm telling you now, the Christian Rose that stood there at the end of the night, even against his comrades, is not the Christian Rose that you guys know and love. The Christian Rose that you say you love sitting with you at commentary, that is not that Christian Rose. Christian Rose has snapped. I've seen that look before. I've stood in the ring when he's had that look. He is not all there. So you guys call him old evil? No. To me, same evil. Same evil Christian Rose. This won't be good. This won't be good. Pray to God this summer break gives Christian Rose time to mentally pull it together. Because if he doesn't, it is going to be hell on everybody. Everybody. I don't care if you're a commentary, ticket taker, the man that cooks, what's his name? That cooks
Captain Dave.
Everybody gonna catch hell.
Ewok's chicken baskets were delicious.
Everybody's gonna catch hell. So, just telling you, old evil snapped.
Yeah, he put his hands on Connor Hopkins, and the Coyotes walked out on him and left him by himself, and the look on his face, I don't think it was chilling. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Coyotes. We'll find out in September, but that was a dark shadow on an otherwise very bright night for Rocket Pro.
Very.
We have a new Rocket Pro champion.
Yeah, again, we go back to that. Aaron Stone came out. He was ready. But then Damian Sate came out, and at least the three of us, Professor, Travis, myself, we all just looked at Damian oddly, because we wondered, why do you have the title? And where's Quinn Whittick at this point? And that's when he informs not only us, but the crowd that he stripped him. But being who he is, he's going to give the people what they want. They wanted a Rocket Pro Championship match. And he awards it. He awards it to the Ryan Matthews of the Undeniables.
Ryan Matthews. That dude.
Yeah, there you go. That dude. I thought this was going to be a one-on-one match, but as I am learning quickly under Damian Saint, things are not always what they appear. And at some point, the Undeniable come out and start jumping Aaron Stone. And it is at the same time that then Damian Saint just casually pops his head out. He doesn't even take a full step out from back. Just pops his head out and says, "Oh, I forgot to mention, this is a no disqualification match." Oh, great, right? Right. Okay. Great. But I will give it to Aaron Stone. Aaron Stone overcame the odds. He overcame the undeniable. He even overcame the general manager and his bullshit. And ladies and gentlemen, your new Rocket Pro champion, the Dreambreaker, Aaron Stone. Now,
young man fulfilled the prophecy.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Did we get all the stuff out of the way?
Before we got to the main, yeah, we ain't get to the main.
Well, we didn't talk about the final level and how nobody's ever going to beat them in history.
Well, that's true.
Who's going to beat them? Nobody's going to. Super kick into M80. No one's ever going to walk away from that ever.
Hey, I will say I did get worried. I did get kind of worried when the Scumbag Army, when they had to face them and they were the final team. I mean, again, they did prevail, and the new number one contenders for the tag team title are the final level, All Day in the Shogun. But it wasn't. I don't think it was. I think the best part of the match to me, I like Shaq Jordan, but sometimes you could just tell his age hasn't caught up with his mentality.
I love that tag team. Shaq and Eve in the tag team. I love that all day.
Yeah, but he wasn't
I
smart
love it all day.
because he wanted kicks from Shogun, and he lost the kicks, he lost the strikes. Like, bruh, no, you should have left that to Ewok, but no, you thought you was bad enough, and then you found out he is still the master.
And he is still the super wrestler.
So there are our new number one contenders. I think we got everything out the way. I'll let Steve take it away with the main event, sir.
Well, I was in there, so I don't know how it looked from commentary, and I'm interested to hear how you guys called it. What did you see from commentary? I've been looking forward to this all day just because I want to hear what your perspective was.
All right. So there's no surprise. Joey Roth, Roxy Hart came out to a heap of boos. Nobody is surprised, right? Now, what is surprising, first of all, our co-host comes out. I'm used to the lovable mustache and goatee. You know, I'm used to Captain America. I didn't get none of that shit. We got the Punisher 3 times over. I don't know what was more scarier, seeing you give a spear or your makeup. I really don't. But then here's your partner. And I sat there and I bullshit you not. Shelly walked through the curtain. She walked down. She gave you a fist bump. And I literally watched as she started to walk. The entire fucking crowd stand to their feet. And if they weren't trying to high five her, they were shaking Italian flags all over the building.
Keep talking. Don't worry about it.
This was amazing. I probably would have thought you had just stated Ric Flair had entered the building. If we're talking ladies, I thought Trish Stratus was coming down the aisle. I don't know. I've never seen anybody that has never, that I know of, stepped foot in a ring, got every single person off their feet. Never, ever. And everybody was set for this match. I will say this, Steve, I was impressed. You didn't go above your limits. You stuck to what you knew. especially with the pelvic thrust in the corner.
A little Andre the Giant magic.
Hey, it knocked the wind out of him. That's all that mattered. You guys worked very well as a team. I can say that as a commentator, and I can say that as your friend. I was worried that you might try to go in and do something above your knowledge. I'm sure Rion can contest. We've seen people and they say, hey, I just saw this on TV last week. I'm going to try it. And it never ends with.
Imagine.
And I was so scared that you were going to try something totally not in your repertoire.
Hey, Red.
Yes, sir.
So when you are ready, ask me what I saw that day.
Rion, what did you see that day?
Sir, as a disclaimer, I've had a very, very bad day. But knowing that this main event match, Steve Arendt and Shelley, took place, the VHS Express showed up to Rocket Pro and beat up the Symbols like they were base, like they were just going and beating them up like they were drums. What I saw that day was one of the greatest things I had ever seen in my life. There was so much emotion. There was so much passion. And there was not one wrestling move that took place. No one had even locked up. And there was so much emotion from the crowd. There were so many people. There was like, what in the hell is happening on this day? Everyone just wanted to be in it. And then the wrestling happened. And everyone was pleasantly surprised. Because everyone was like, oh, they came to fight. They came to wrestle today. Only for all of the wrestling to stop and they go to cheating. The idols go and do bad stuff.
But we had a plan.
Shelley had a plan. Shelley, just all the lights went out. And they did one of the most amazing things where you just think it can't get any bigger than what it was. I thought Steve was going to do a 360 at one point because of how excited everything was. It was intense. I'm trying to keep my excitement to the minimum. You have Shogun come out from one side. He came from the east, actually. And then Marche comes from the south, only for Nuke to come from the north and Orion to come from the west. It's so weird.
One if by land,
so
two if by sea.
It doesn't make any
four if
sense.
by directions.
It doesn't make any sense. But Maximus, after all the shit I talked, decided to come up and help family out. So to watch all that happen, and they still almost lost because Mr. Van, Johnny Nash shows up ready to screw everyone over. And he did, but not in the way you think it's going to take place. And everyone was so excited because the idols are starting to fall. It's finally happening, everyone. The idols are finally going to get their asses whipped. Nia comes out, saves everybody, kind of, and then puts everyone in harm's way. Well, Roxy anyway, and puts it in front of Shelley, who at this point has had enough. She is tired. She is not dealing with anyone shit at this point, and she put her foot on Roxy's face.
Right on her face.
Turned her over.
into that Undertaker move that I can't think of the name.
Hell's Gate.
That thing. And all you can hear is Roxy screaming. And the match is over. And then everyone celebrated for about 15 minutes. It was so real.
You forgot about the belt shot.
Oh no, I didn't forget about the belt shot because he is going to reenact it right now because he's holding the title.
There it is. I got a prize, Red. I got some merch. I might sell it.
I hope that laugh came up on the camera because that would have been amazing if that came. Because I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but I hope that when this plays back later, that laugh came through.
We did what we said we were going to do. We took back Rocket Pro Wrestling. We got their custom belts, and the entire summer, this belt is going to travel wherever I go. Going on vacation in July. This is going to be in the hot tub with me. I'm taking this on tour. Not.
Are you bringing this to the bout on Saturday?
I'm bringing this to the bout on Saturday.
So we're not going to talk about the hot tub that you just talked about?
Well, when I go on vacation, there's a hot tub, and I'm going to bring this in the hot
So
tub.
you're just going to bypass the hot tub?
What do you want to talk about the hot tub for?
Why are you going to put it in the hot tub?
Because I'm going to relax with my title, my Roth villain title. It's the only champion. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
Not me. This is Red.
Yeah, Red.
Are all parties in agreement that comes in the hot tub?
What? Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm financially brokering the trip. I get to do whatever the fuck I want. You pay for a trip, you can take your shit in a hot tub. I'm paying for the trip. My belt goes in a hot tub. That's how it is. That's how we roll. But my point is this.
There's a point.
This is not a Rocket Pro Championship. This is not a championship. This is a belt that the Symbols decided to make for themselves. So we beat them.
Oh, they're percussions.
We cut
the
we cut the head off the snake. We took our pelts, just like Chewbacca, and we're gonna wear that shit. And you know, it's very satisfying.
You say belts or pelts?
I said
He said pelts.
pelts.
Where
He
are
did
they?
say pelts.
Like Chewbacca.
I'm just making sure that I heard that right.
All I know, like Rihan said,
Keep in mind, I had to keep my excitement to a bare minimum.
15 minutes of celebration.
That crowd was amazing.
And I know there are going to be somebody that's going to listen or watch this and going to say bullshit.
Okay.
It happened.
15 minutes. You would have just wore. It's funny. It's like Trevor came on earlier and said when he was a kid and he snuck down and said that the Sox had won the division, and he told the ring announcer, and the ring announcer made it during break, and the crowd popped. You'd have thought, again, somebody would have just came down and said, Michael Jordan is coming out of retirement, and he is back with the Bulls. You would have thought Walter Payton has risen from the dead and has rejoined the Bears.
God,
Something to that magnitude happening, but at St. Joseph's in Joliet, Illinois, for 15 minutes, as the ring announcer said, and your winners, Steve Arnett and Shelly, you would have swore everybody again. Oprah was in the building and said, everybody check under your chairs. There is $1,000 under the chair. These people went ballistic. And then even after that 15 minutes, and some people left Only a few.
There was not many people that
People were taking the ring down, and people were still crowding around Steve and Shelley. Like there was this. Again, I'm just coming home. But there felt like there had been this 45-pound weight that had been put on everybody's chest for months. And Steve and Shelley just came and started throwing them off like frisbees. Here's the best analogy. The end of the Wiz. If this crowd would have broke out and said, "Can you feel a brand new day?" I would have not been mad.
Been like the Wiz.
I just said that.
Yes,
Yeah, is that what you said? I didn't hear that. Man, that's my favorite. That's my favorite scene of that movie. I love that fucking song.
That's how it felt. I swore I was looking to see where Mabel King was in the
She's
arena.
dead. Mabel King died. That's how that all happened.
But I wanted to see where she died. Because all you needed was the people just, "Can you feel a brand new day?" Like, what
Just so you know, Red, you are wrestling's Nipsey Russell.
I'm just saying. But I tip my hat to you, sir. I don't have, okay, well, I have a helmet.
That I do.
There you go. I have a helmet. Tampa Bay. All right. So I tip my hat to you, sir. Ooh, you made me drop my Paul Heyman. Kudos to you, sir. Kudos to you.
There's a picture that the Swink took. He took that picture of me in the ring with my face paint, which I appreciate because now I'll have a commemorative of the moment that I'll get to cherish forever. But he took the picture of me and Shelley holding the belts up at the end with Nye raising our hands. Now, to a wrestling fan, to a man that is getting up there in years, to a commentator, general manager, non-wrestler, to have a moment like that in front of a crowd like that is nothing short of unbelievable. And I said it that night, and I'll say it again, next to the day that my son was born. I don't know if I'll ever do better than that. And, you know, I felt fortunate because I was present in the moment and I had a couple of opportunities to look around. And as I got back on my feet after the situation where I got hit with the bat twice by Damian Gray and the lights went out, and Shogun and Marche and Nuke and Maximus came out, and the crowd saw them. And I was in that moment for those people to see that thing. And they were hot to begin with. I mean, obviously Shelley coming was the loudest pop of the night. But when the lights went out and Shogun kicks open the side door, comes in with a drink and his cigar, and then the light goes to the back and Marche walks out of the bar area, and then the light hits Nuke walking out of the foyer, and then Maximus comes down the ramp. The energy was, you could feel it. You could feel people getting behind it. And I was injured and exhausted, and I had nothing left in the tank. And when that happened and they backed Joey back into the ring and I got a chance to spear him, I felt light as a feather. I had no pain. It was just joy. And what a remarkable experience. So I thanked every vet I could find before I left St. Joe's Park, because you guys have built that all your years, from Marche to Rose to Rion to Red. You guys do this every weekend your whole lives. And I got 30 seconds to see the world through your eyes. And I'm so thankful and I respect it so much. And I was so appreciative for the moment. So that's my take on it. Yes.
How'd you feel the day after?
Uplifted. I was sore, but very happy, very pleased. I was excited that people seemed to genuinely enjoy it. And I felt very satisfied. And I don't get that very much. So it was a win at night. It was a win the next day. And we'll be on top of the world until September and we see what happens. That's just the realest I can be.
Okay. I mean, I have other questions, but I'm gonna wait. This is normally when you try to ask everybody else how they feel, or if they have any other questions. I don't know how you want to end this.
Cactus, are you still with? I'm sorry, Rachel, are you still with us?
Her name is
Yes.
it's literally right there on the screen.
Right, it's right there on the screen.
Well,
Well,
call her Cactus every goddamn
I
time.
can't.
It's right there.
I know it's a reflex action. Any final thoughts about Kicks on 66? I know you had to go. You're attending to poor Hazel. Looking back over Kicks on 66, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I missed most of it because Hazel was sick, so we left right after Hot Rod's match, right after the first slip that Joey Roth made. Hold on, I'm being booted out of the room because Andrew needs to go to sleep. So, yes, I know you have to. It was the access was fun. Maybe next time I'll get to stay for the whole thing. So it was sad to have missed everything.
All right.
And Red, final thoughts?
Kicks on 66 was an eye opener. The Fan Fest, I had been there since the gates opened, so but it was fun. People actually asking, and just other workers asking me questions. I enjoyed that. The moment of the night, Rion knows, for me, was mind blowing. He knows the moment I'm talking about. Still blows my mind. I'll talk about it later, maybe one day. Just lets me know I'm old.
Off the air, we can talk about it because that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole different. That's why I said later. The show itself,
It humbles you. Definitely.
it made me old.
Humbles you.
From start to finish, the show started off hot, ended even hotter. There was not one match where I sat there like, oh, why am I watching this? No. My intention was on each match, each move. And it's very hard when you're trying to watch the match, but you see that the crowd is so into it. And Rion said this earlier, and I don't know if anybody, and maybe again for you guys, it's second nature by now, but to watch 450 people or more in that building, and those that weren't sitting lined up against the wall, and everybody is into everything. That is why I do what I do. Everybody. No, I've never seen a show where, guess what? I didn't see anybody on their phones unless they were taking pictures. I did not see one person do this, like they're looking, texting, or no. Every match made people pay attention. And that's what a show should do. You know, you pay your money, you come to be brought into our world for just a little bit. And everybody that night did their job. Even you, Steve. I mean, again, when you came out, you gave me a whole new look, a look I had never seen before, but the crowd was there and they loved it. They knew you were coming to take care of business. I couldn't be mad. I couldn't. I wasn't prepared for it, but I couldn't be mad. So to you, Shelly, and everybody Saturday night that laced up a pair of boots, put on a pair of tights, put on some shoes or boots, I commend everybody. Rocket Pro, you knocked it out for the season finale. It doesn't get any better than that. I don't know how you Rocket Pro needs a break right now. Because if you had to top this off the next month, fall flat on your face.
Well, we got a few months to think about it, and September should be interesting. We've already got our main event. Aaron Stone will be putting his new title on the line against former champion Quinn Whittick at Fall Brawl. That's coming up in September. But it's going to be a fun summer. It'll be great to see everybody again in September, but you know, what a time. Rion, final thoughts?
Work or shoot?
Either. Your pick.
Okay. To everyone that showed up at Rocket Bro, Kicks on 66, and fan access on that day, thank you. To the staff and everyone, the workers, thank you for being there and doing what you do. And to the Power Hour for being themselves, thank you. It's too close.
Sorry.
It's too close.
We're here.
With that being said, I'm tired. I need to take a nap, go to sleep. I need to do something. Been up since Sunday. So I'm tired. I can't. I had all my energy went out on Saturday watching this main event match with Steve Arendt and Shelly, the VHS Express. You know, they were talking about making shirts for you. Did you know that? With a big ass VHS tape.
Yeah, we got.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I might actually delve into a little merch there myself.
The shit that I say on here, I just say random stuff,
And then it becomes something.
That's why I don't like saying anything. Because people just like, could that be a thing? You know, I'm tired. I can't.
All right.
Can't do that.
We're gonna end the show, possibly the longest one we've ever done. Next week on this program, Crystal from Frontline Pro will take us into the big May 20th match that are coming up as. Yes.
Make sure that if anyone is watching this, that you make sure to check out the JFW podcast as well as the LIM.
Oh yeah, that's right. The LIM podcast
well.
in June.
And make sure that you say hello to the Rocket Pro Chicagoland champion, the Amazing Turtle, when you get a chance. Please continue with the guest, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows that he is a thing.
He's a thing. He's a thing that Marche Rocket going to deal with at some point, but that's neither here nor there. Crystal from Frontline Pro will be our guest next week as we head into Frontline Pro coming down into Illinois for a few shows this summer. Excited to be a part of that. So she'll be with us next week. We'll talk all about that. Don't forget to catch Russian Blue, our fair Rachel in Chicago Knockouts Roller Derby this Saturday night. It's going to be hot. Check out C Red at LOW this Saturday night. Big show there for the ARC. And next week, we'll talk about Frontline. We'll talk about Crash Tested. We'll talk about CSW. We'll talk about SCW. We'll talk about a lot of things with W's in it. Thank you to everybody that made my Saturday night special. It's a night I'll never forget as long as I live. I can't thank you enough. So for Rion Skills, for the Urban Sensation, for the lovely Rachel, I'm Steve. This is the Power Hour. Thanks to Trevor for being a great guest, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.